Former world #1 bowler Steve Harmison doesn't believe Archer will play in Birmingham.
I think England have picked him in the squad not to play him at Edgbaston, but possibly to release him on Monday, so he doesn't bowl in both innings for Sussex on an absolute shirt front with a ball that's doing absolutely nothing and potentially stand in the field for 200 overs over 4 days.
Fogarty says they just can't wait.
We've had 3 good days training. Everyone wants to get this tour on Australian soil going. So yeah, it's been really, really exciting, for the group that's going to go out there.
And the draw for Wimbledon has been made. Jack Draper will take on Sebastian Baez. He's also in the same half of the draw as Novak Djokovic. Emma Raducanu, meanwhile, plays British teenage wildcard Mimi Xu.
Really, really tough draw. I fully expected to have no problems playing the British youngster first match, but the likelihood she will play Vondrousova second round. Now, Vondrousova, as we know, won Wimbledon a couple of years ago, and she's been injured recently, but did win a big tournament a couple of weeks ago in Berlin. So maybe Vondrousova might be, in a prime position to have a good run the next couple of weeks.
There's more at talkSPORT.com.
Good evening, this is Transfer Insiders on talkSPORT. I'm Olly Clink. How are you doing? I've got the Football Rambles Marcus Speller alongside me tonight. What a treat. So much to come for you. Brentford have got a new manager. They've hired from within once again. The set-piece coach is now the head coach. What do you make of that? Keith Andrews is going to take charge of the Bees. Is this a bit of a punt? We're going to get into that. We'll also get the latest from the transfer window, of course. Chelsea looking to do even more business. And Arsenal linked with Eberechi Eze. And Newcastle fans, there are links to James Trafford. There are links to João Pedro. There are links to Anthony Elanga, all for pretty big money. Do you like the sound of that? All of that plus loads more. This is Transfer Insiders on talkSPORT. Mr. Speller, how are you doing, mate?
Very well. It's Friday. It is Friday, Ollie, and I'm sat opposite you. I feel like I've picked up one of Willy Wonka's golden tickets on the way here. How are you, my old son?
Yeah, I'm really good, thank you. Really, really good. Yeah, I mean, who wants to be at Glastonbury? We're in this.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that.
We're doing talkSPORT. It's absolutely fine. I mean, to be fair, if we're being honest with ourselves, it might be one of the posher shows that talkSPORT do broadcast.
Really?
Yeah. Maybe we could be at Glasgow.
Is this because I'm a Fulham fan? Is that what you're doing?
That's what I'm going for.
Yeah, okay, yeah, right. Yeah, you trying to support Newcastle? Don't start that. Hide your kind of the truth of who you really are.
I was a bit frustrated you didn't bring a cheese board in, but
well, later will be greater.
Okay, fair enough. Yeah,
2 puns there.
Yeah. Are you gonna be catching any? Are you kind of person that just completely blanks out Glastonbury when it's on?
No, I embrace it. What I used to do before I had children, I used to sort of watch Glastonbury and go, why did I not try and get tickets for this? But I did go one year, and let me tell you something. The reason why I'm not jealous is because the year I went, 2 of the 3 headliners, Arctic Monkeys and Rolling Stones.
Oh my word!
Come on,
that is you can't top it.
Yeah, this year I've not heard of a 1975 song. I'm sure they're a lovely band. I've never heard of one of their songs. And one of the other headliners, and I'll give you a clue, it wasn't Neil Young. I had to Google her.
What did you find? Any good music?
It seems like a very talented young lady.
Oh, great stuff.
We'll leave it at that.
Very, very diplomatic there, I think. Do you know what? I was thinking we should do a Glastonbury 11, I think. We should get the brilliant geniuses, the talkSPORT listener, to bring us a Glastonbury 11. I've got 2.
Go on.
All right.
Who have you
ready
got?
For this?
No.
And they're both talkSPORT related, actually, as well.
Go on.
Darren Tent.
Nice.
Yeah. And Gabby Flag Bonlahor.
Oh, yes, I'm into that.
Yeah.
Yes.
But I want some more music-related ones as well, because so far I've gone for the kind of the furniture of Glastonbury, if you want.
Yeah.
We need some more kind of music-related ones. I'll let you mull some over, unless you've already got one.
Olly Clink.
Oh, yeah, very good.
Yeah. Although not this year. Apparently the weather's going to be good.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Is it not? Is it?
I hope it isn't, because I'm not there. That'll teach you. No, I hope it is. I always want the weather to be good for the Glastonbury folks, because when I was there in that summer of 2013, the weather, I'll go as far to say, it wasn't even too hot. Perfect.
Oh, that
absolutely nailed it. Well, it was one of the best weekends of my life, and I thought, I can never go back to this place. As I say, Arctic Monkeys, Rolling Stones, beautiful weather, lovely old job. Thanks very much.
I've got this idea. You know how you have those like little secret pop-up areas?
Yeah.
Do you reckon there's like a tent where they're just streaming talkSPORT in there? All the time, 24/7.
I'll be diplomatic and say I hope so.
Yeah, people going in just be like, oh my God, 1 a.m. I was just with the sports bar. Like the most ethereal experience.
I can't believe what Clinky said about that transfer.
Yeah.
I see what you mean by this being more of a middle class type of show, yeah.
Anyway, loads to come on today's show, but only one place to start as Brentford have a new man in charge.
So Thomas Frank is going to be the new Tottenham manager, and it'll be interesting to see where Brentford turn next.
And talkSPORT understands that Keith Andrews is a contender to replace Thomas Frank as Brentford manager.
Some breaking news: Keith Andrews is set to be appointed as Brentford's new head coach.
Yeah, exciting times for Brentford. He is the set-piece coach, Keith Andrews, stepping up to be the head coach, which does feel like a bit of a pun. I mean, it's the kind of thing Brentford do, though, isn't it?
Yeah.
Marcus, we've seen it before. I mean, Thomas Frank was the assistant coach. Before I get your view on this, let's hear from Natalie Sawyer, talkSPORT's very own, huge Brentford fan, of course. This is what she had to say on Keith Andrews getting the job.
Yeah, it's hard. It's not going to be easy, and especially when you've already mentioned, Brian Mbeumo's leaving. Christian Lard looks as though he's leaving too. These are two massive players and massive holes that need to be filled in this Brentford side. But equally, because of the jobs that we do, because of the sort of unique way we go about things and trying to find targets that are a bit unusual, a bit different, I'm confident that our team at Brentford know what they're doing.
Yeah, I mean, to be fair to Natalie there, you know, it's hard to judge Brentford because every time it's kind of gone right. They are a very well-run club, but the other point she makes is true too. It looks like Mbeumo's going out the door and Norgard too. That's some seriously key players. You're losing your captain and losing arguably the best player as well. It's a huge job, this, isn't it? And it's going to be a huge step up.
Yes, it is. That's what everyone's been saying. And then everyone says, but they're such a well-run club, da-da-da-da-da. And that's a fair point. But this will really test them. We're going to find out how well-run they are, because they've never had this before. Every time Brentford have faced a tricky situation, they've always passed it with flying colours since joining the Premier League. The big one, of course, was Tony when he had that ban, and you think, he's such a crucial player for them, scored a lot of goals, etc., and they didn't really miss him at all. And then Mbeumo steps up, Wissa's there as well. They've lost one or two others, and again, the show carries on. But that was all under Thomas Frank. He has been unbelievably good, very, very well respected coach, and has garnered praise from every corner of the Premier League, and rightly so, and beyond. But he's not there now, and a very charismatic man as well. The fans love him there, and rightly so. He's the type of manager that I think a lot of fans, and I even say this as a Fulham fan as well, a lot of fans think, like if he managed my club, I'm very happy with Marco Silva, by the way, but if he managed my club, I'd be into that. He's a leader of men, and that's what he is, and that's why Spurs have gone for him. Without him, they are huge shoes to fill. But the infrastructure and everything is there, so they're giving whoever steps in, which of course is Keith Andrews, the best of chances.
Yeah, I'm not totally convinced. That the only reason is, I know they've done this before and it has worked for them before, but for me, it's a very different job when you're the assistant coach in Thomas Frank and coming in the Championship, when there'd be a hope to go up.
Yes.
But I don't necessarily think when Thomas Frank took over there was an expectation that Brentford would be, challenging to get up into the Premier League. He then did an amazing job of establishing them in there, and not ever really being involved in a relegation battle, really. And that is a huge achievement from him. But to have lost those two players, I think it's a completely different kettle of fish, isn't it, Marcus? For Keith Andrews to take over what is already an established Premier League side, rather than taking over side in the Championship. That's my only worry, I think, for Brentford. Do you think that the fans of Leeds and Burnley and Sunderland are maybe looking at this situation and going, do you know what?
we could stay up here, because they could catch a team like Brentford if this appointment doesn't work and if Brentford starts to struggle.
I think that's the key thing to say, is you're right to say that. Who are the three promoted sides? Who are they looking at thinking, how can we reel them in? Because the danger is, and much has been made of it the last couple of seasons in the Premier League, the promoted sides have gone straight back down, which wasn't always the case for many, many years. People always thought that, but the last couple of years, the way it's panned out, there is a bit of a worry that it becomes a bit of a closed shop. And people might look around and go, well, surely Man United are not going to be that bad. Surely Spurs, or, blah, 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 blah. You start looking at the sides who were down there. West Ham under Potter, but you think, still got a better squad than the three promoted sides. Brentford, there's just a little bit of a crack there. People think, hang on, what are they going to be like? And for Andrews, if the first month of the season doesn't go quite well, you're into the second month, suddenly the pressure starts to build. However, they are quite a unique football club, and I think that he will be given a little bit of breathing room, and I think the fans will be, well, I suspect they'll be patient. But they may not have to be, maybe hit the ground running. But yes, there is a chance that they could be the one that is kind of reeled in, as I say, by those three promoted clubs. I think they'd be the one people would maybe just start to look at now.
Yeah, what's also interesting, I think, from a transfer perspective too, is that there might be a couple of other players in that Brentford squad. I'm thinking in particular of Johan Visser, who, by the way, scored 19 goals, only one behind Brian Mbeumo last season. Yeah. And then Kevin Schade, who had such a good end to the season, especially, was in brilliant form. Do you think maybe some of them are looking at this situation now where they're losing a couple of these players? They're bringing in, obviously, a guy they'll know very well. He was the set-piece coach. Sure. They'll have worked with him a lot, but maybe they're looking at that situation and fearing maybe the drop and thinking, is there a way out of the club? And then, the more players that jump ship, it's just going to get harder for Brentford.
Yeah, I mean, with Brian Mbeumo, you might think, well, they've done well to keep him this long. Such a talented player. Yeah. I mean, there was even chat, wasn't there? If Salah was going to leave Liverpool, people were saying he could be the guy to maybe replace him. I mean, unlikely we'll get to those dizzying highs, but still, though, that's how good Mbeumo is. Norgaard's that's a shame for them that they've lost him. But a side like Arsenal come along, they can just cherry pick a player like that. You would think. What do the others do? I think it's early at the moment for them to start thinking, hang on, we might want to get out of here. And for someone like Visser, he may think, well, it really is down to me. He's in a position of strength there. May look to say to the hierarchy at Brentford, look, let's have a few more quid here. Let's talk about my contract if you want me to stay. But it is crucial that they don't start losing all these players because they've got some real talent there. And as we said, they've got a squad, they've got players that can come in and they just about smooth it over, of course, when some of the big boys leave. This is different. And I think the hierarchy of that club have got to be very, very careful that there isn't a bit of an exodus. But I don't think there will be, because it's good times down at Brentford at the moment. They're a solid mid-table Premier League side. They're looking up the table rather than down it. And there's no guarantee if you go elsewhere that you're going to be a success, of course. So I would think that they would keep hold of some of the other guys and make a fist of it next season.
And actually, if they do manage to keep hold of Johan Visser, you have got a proven goal scorer in your side. And if you're going to be a team down there that's battling the drop, that is absolutely essential, isn't it? And the G-Tech was amazing. I covered Brentford so much. And it was goals galore. It was the most goals scored across the league.
It was good times. That's what I mean. So if you're a player, you kind of think, it's a good vibe down here. It's good. They've got great support and all the rest of it. They give some of the big teams in the league a bloody nose. And so that'll keep you at the club. That is something that those players will want to stay with. But Thomas Frank's such a charismatic bloke. He's got such magnetism. He's the one. If he's gone now, you've just got to make sure, as I say, that suddenly all the players don't go, hang on, I fancy looking elsewhere. But I don't think that will be the case with Brentford, though.
We've had a couple of Glasto.
Already?
Texts, yeah.
Go on.
They're rolling in. 81089 if you want to get involved. We've got down the Newcastle fan in goal, Rob Greenday.
Nice.
I like that.
Yeah.
I do like that a lot. You seen Green Day live ever?
Never.
I think that was the first album I ever got.
I would think of them. Idiot. I think if it was more of a Reading 11, I'd be tempted to go Green Day. But still, we can't be too picky. Certainly not this hour of the show.
Yeah, I like this one. I like this one a lot from May in North Wales. Sammy Hippie.
Nice. There you go.
That.
Solid stuff.
That's very, very good. Keep them coming in. 81089 on the text. By the way, don't forget the British and Irish Lions take on the Western Force tomorrow morning, live and exclusively on talkSPORT.
Terrifying.
I know. I wouldn't want to take on the Western Force.
Are we playing? Blimey. funny.
Yeah, oh, God.
Yeah,
Here we go.
It's all quiet on the Western Force. Deary me.
Coverage starts from 10 o'clock, and don't forget, we'll be bringing you live commentary of all 3 test matches and the warm-up games. talkSPORT is the only place on national radio where you can follow all of the Lions action. Up next, here on Transfer Insiders, the brilliant Ben Jacobs is going to join us live to take us through all of the big stories to keep an eye out for. Chelsea looking to sign a few more players, and some interesting links to Arsenal too. This is Transfer Insiders on talkSPORT. Had another shout for the Glasgow 11.
Is that right?
Ben Meeker says Tom from Peterborough. I've not heard of Ben Meeker as a footballer. But he says for the singer Meeker.
Right.
Meeker at Glastonbury?
No, I'm not
quite sure.
I would encourage Ben Meeker to have another go.
Tom in Peterborough. Have a. Taste us again. Yeah.
No, Mika, if your application form didn't get in the Glastonbury this year and you're not headlining, do have another go. I thought I'm going to try and squeeze one in here. I think we could get some maybe unwanted feedback from this. But the team, the Glastonbury 11, could also be called the Realma Pyramid.
Oh no!
Yeah.
I actually quite like that.
Do you like that?
They sound like a team at the Club World Cup.
They genuinely do. At the end of it, they might well be a team called that.
They're playing Juventus at 2 a.m. tonight.
Yes. Yeah. You're staying up for
live live on talkSPORT too.
Yeah. Where are we watching that, by the way?
Oh, good stuff. Keep your Glastonbury text coming in on 81089. Let's get the latest transfer news. I'm delighted to say talkSPORT's transfer reporter Ben Jacobs joins us. Ben, have you ever been to Glastonbury, Ben?
I have in my uni days. Very muddy, very fun. I've also got a footballer pun for you as well. It's not great with the first name, but if you take Lewis Dunk, could we turn that into Daft Dunk?
Oh, I like that.
There you go.
I like that a lot.
That's nice.
Yeah, that's very, very good.
Which year did you go to Glastonbury, Ben?
1997, which was actually when Daft Punk were part of the lineup, which is why I thought of the pun.
Oh, very, very good.
Who headlined that year other than Daft Punk, or assuming they headlined?
To be honest, I have absolutely no idea. I went to the dance stage and then I had a few drinks, rolled around in the mud. It's too long ago.
Yeah, and he wasn't seen for years. He's only just resurfaced. Yeah. Well, Ben, I won't ask you why you can't remember. There we are.
Now, Ben, let's get stuck into some of the transfer business. Let's start with Chelsea because, I mean, we know that they like to try and sign most players under the sun, especially if they've got a bit of potential. But I believe the deal for Jamie Gittins from Dortmund might be gathering a bit of pace.
Yeah, well, the Prodigy were at Glastonbury in 1997, and Chelsea like a Prodigy, don't they? And Jamie Gittins can fall into that category, 20-year-old winger. This one's definitely getting close. Chelsea's number one choice on that left-hand side. They've looked at Malik Fofana, Alejandro Garnacho as well. But Gittins is now ready to join Chelsea's agreed terms on a 7-year deal. It's just all about that club-to-club negotiation. And I suppose, luckily from Chelsea, first of all, they can meet Dortmund in America because they're both at the Club World Cup. And then second of all, they don't need the same urgency as for other signings that they might bring in the knockout stage because Gittins is cup-tied. And therefore, Chelsea will take their time and make sure there's no Club World Cup tax on this kind of deal. The last offer rejected was £42 million. Chelsea are going to break the 45 million barrier. Suggestions that Dortmund are holding out for a number close to 60 is not correct, according to my understanding. I think the clubs actually are not that far apart in valuation, and still the expectation is this one gets done. We've heard Bayern might try and hijack, but the key thing which gives Chelsea confidence is that Gittins has made it clear he only wants Chelsea, and it will be a surprise if this one is not done in the next week or two.
Just staying with Chelsea as well, Ben, there have been some links to Hugo Ekitike from Eintracht Frankfurt, who had a very, very good season. Again, you know, another player with a lot of potential. I remember Newcastle being linked with him. I think actually as far back as when they got taken over, but I think at that stage he was maybe a bit young for that move. Is that one that could be likely to happen, given that they've already brought in Liam Delap?
Well, he's being considered, but they want a different kind of profile, and that's maybe where Ekitike comes in, and also João Pedro as well. So this is about replacing, should they get the right offer, Christopher Nkunku, but Benjamin Sesko, for example, has been ruled out because he's seen as too similar profile to Liam Delap. And then Nicholas Jackson, slight question mark over his head. Chelsea are not going to force him out the club or transfer list him. But at the right offer, you never know. Hugo Ekitike at the moment is €100 million. Frankfurt are sticking to that asking price. And I think Chelsea realise if they just wait a little bit and choose to enter the race later in the summer, that price may drop. The same can be said for either Manchester United, although nothing was ever advanced there. And certainly Liverpool. I think we're hearing a lot of noise out of Germany to create a bidding war. And it wouldn't surprise me if Liverpool don't get Alexander Isak and they eventually give up. If they move on, Ekitike is going to be high in their thinking. But later in the window, that asking price just might drop from about 100 million to somewhere close to 85 million. And that's when the likes of maybe Chelsea and possibly Liverpool might finally make their move.
Yeah, it's an interesting one there. Now, I want to ask you about Arsenal as well, Ben, because there have been some links with Eberechi Eze. How high on their list would you say he is?
I think he's feasible, which might mean that he gains prominence. So there's three names at the moment that Arsenal are really looking at on that left-hand side. Eze, who can be more versatile, of course, and play as an attacking midfielder. then Rodrigo, the kind of dream target. Real might sell for 90 million euros, but the player's not decided yet whether he wants to leave. And Anthony Gordon, who is the perfect profile and liked by Liverpool as well, but it remains to be seen whether Newcastle will entertain any kind of Gordon exit. And naturally, the same can be said for Isak as well, but it might not stop Arsenal trying for Gordon or Liverpool still approaching Isak. So there's three names there, but when you think about what it takes to prize Gordon away, that 90 million for Rodrigo, and still the player may say he wants to stay and see if anything changes with Xabi Alonso. Eze's the one that very possibly can get done because there's a £68 million release clause, and crucially, it's payable in 3 instalments. Now, this has been billed as a kind of North London derby. It might be Arsenal, it might be Spurs. My understanding is that Tottenham have actually backed off in the last few hours, and although the interest is genuine, it's now nothing really more than that. And Eze, some say, is an Arsenal fan as well. So Eze to Arsenal could be one to watch, because if they can't get Rodrigo, it wouldn't surprise me if they ramp up their interest in Eze simply because that release clause makes things a little bit easier, especially because it isn't payable in one lump sum.
I mean, Ben, it wouldn't shock me if Eze has a memory only of what would be in a month or two ago of playing at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium and dancing through that defence and thinking, I appreciate they've got a new manager, but surely there's a better team I can go for. But, you know, let's say hypothetically, Ben, that you were an Arsenal fan, okay? Which of the three players would you want to see? I understand that you've mapped it out brilliantly there with the situations, but if you're playing fantasy football, you're an Arsenal fan, who would you want out of those three?
Rodrigo, all day long.
Yeah, I thought I assumed that would be the case. But for me, does Eberechi not? Would he capture your imagination in an Arsenal shirt?
Well, I think he's one of those players that could really come to life in a quality team, and obviously he'd get a lot more freedom. It's not to say that he doesn't have it at Crystal Palace, but I think since Michael Olise's left, it was obvious last season that he was having to carry a bit more of the weight, whereas at Arsenal, there's that ability to use him on the left-hand side or use him in a more central position and potentially start all the big games. And there'd be a question mark, I think, over either Gabriel Martinelli or Leandro Trossard. My understanding with both is it's sort of an all or nothing situation where they may be offered fresh terms, but if while those negotiations happen, even though the talks have been positive, the right offer comes in and there's big interest from Saudi Arabia in both of those profiles, Arsenal might go to the other extreme and at least sell one of them, which would allow an Eze, obviously a Rodrigo and clearly a Gordon as well, to all be the starting left winger on that side. And I think each of them are actually a very strong fit within Mikel Arteta's system.
I just, when I think of, you know, a player like Rodrigo going there, I know a very different type of player and far less experienced as he was. I would just get the Nicolas Pepe kind of shivers. That's all. But if he, you know, these are the big players you're talking about here. This is, I mean, surely Arsenal have to do something now, because it's all very well finishing second, you know, and I know Liverpool have strengthened, but Arsenal, surely this is the window they have to really go for it, surely.
Yeah, and I think the big difference is that Mikel Arteta, as part of this long-term project, Berta's job description basically says win now. So you are going to see him be more aggressive in the market. And I know some Arsenal fans listening will say Chelsea have bought Delap, Man City have several new signings, Liverpool are going wild and have landed Vers. And the kind of counter for Arsenal is, what are we doing? But we have to remember, it's June the 27th. And if you're not in the Club World Cup and you're a brand new sporting director, you probably do take a little bit of time. But come the end of the window, it wouldn't surprise me if Arsenal's total spend is not that far off Liverpool's. Because if you add the Zubimendi 60 million euros or more, because they've gone a bit above that release clause, they've already got Norgard. We know they want a number 2 goalkeeper. They're looking at left backs. In addition to that, left winger and a centre forward. Add all that up. And many Arsenal fans sort of say to me, well, where is the centre forward? And once again, the centre forward is going to come. This isn't an Arsenal window where we're going to think they're going to sign a number 9 and then they strengthen in midfield once again and only that. Come the end of the window, one of these big-name number 9s will be wearing an Arsenal shirt. One of these big-name left wingers, maybe from the three I mentioned, perhaps we'll get another surprise name coming to the mix, but one of them's going to arrive as well. So if you add the Zubimendi money and all of the other positions I've mentioned, you're looking at an Arsenal spend of somewhere between 200 and 250 million, which at the end of the day will not be that far off Liverpool. And if Liverpool do spend a bit more, I think Arsenal will be number 2 in terms of spending come the end of the window.
I mean, I'm glad you're confident, because with regards to Arsenal signing a striker, because for me, this could be the new defensive midfielder. You know, how many years, how many windows did they go thinking they would not sign a defensive midfielder?
Yeah.
And so to me, like, it would just be criminal if they didn't get that centre forward this summer window.
Absolutely, yeah. Ben, thank you very much indeed.
Cheers, guys.
There we go. Ben Jacobs there, transfer reporter and big raver, apparently, back in the day.
Well, I had a little sneaky peek. It was Prodigy, as he mentioned.
Wow.
Radiohead and Ash, who headlined that year.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's a belter of a He's done what you did. It's just, it was so good when you went. Maybe. Don't go again.
Yeah, that's it. But he talked about the mud and all the rest of it. Maybe it was the headliners were so good, the weather was so terrible. Do you know, it was a proper tour of duty. I think we'll leave it there.
Yeah, and that's it. Yeah, one tour and done. Don't go anywhere, because up next we're going to be talking about Manchester United. Have they finally turned a corner in the transfer market?
Brentford have appointed their set-piece coach Keith Andrews as new manager. The former Republic of Ireland #2 has signed a 3-year deal at the GTEC for his first role as a head coach. Ruud van Nistelrooy says he wishes Leicester well after leaving the club by mutual consent. This season he led the Foxes to a second relegation from the Premier League in 3 seasons. So who's going to take over?
But anyone who understands the fight, understands the city, and understands what the fans actually want. The fans are fantastic. They'll be there every week, as long as they see a bit of fight about them.
England cricket boss Rob Key says Jofra Archer will play one of the next 2 tests against India after 4 years away from the format because of various injuries. He's been included in the squad for Edgbaston next week, but former world #1 bowler Steve Harmison doesn't believe Archer will play in Birmingham.
I think England have picked him in the squad not to play him at Edgbaston, but possibly to release him on Monday, so he doesn't bowl in both innings for Sussex. on an absolute shirt front with a ball that's doing absolutely nothing and potentially stand in the field for 200 overs over 4 days.
And the draw for Wimbledon has been made. Jack Draper will take on Sebastian Baez. He's also in the same half of the draw as Novak Djokovic. Emma Raducanu, meanwhile, plays British teenage wildcard Mimi Xu.
Really, really tough draw. The likelihood she will play Vondrousova second round. Now, Vondrousova, as we know, won Wimbledon a couple of years ago.
There's more at talkSPORT.com.
This is Transfer Insiders here on talkSPORT with me, Olly Clink. I'm alongside Marcus Speller from the Football Ramble. Pete, the crew fan, hats off to you.
Go on.
He's sent loads in. Get some of these. Rolling John Stones.
Nice.
Hey Jude Bellingham.
McCartney did headline, yeah, to be fair.
That's true, yeah.
I was about to say the Beatles never headlined. No, he's got me.
Do you know what? I like his last two as well.
Yeah.
Rodri Stewart.
Lovely.
Because he's headlining this year. Big fan of talkSPORT, Rod Stewart, of course, as well.
Is Rod Stewart playing?
Yeah.
Legend slot, I'd imagine?
Legend slot, yeah.
Right.
But he was annoyed because it was the tea time slot. He said, he was like, doesn't sound very rock and roll.
I think they've given him the night off, Rod, and I think you'll be very happy about that one.
Imagine if he brought out Rodri.
That'd be odd.
That'd be brilliant. And Ryan Giggs, very good.
Yeah.
Bit more, that's a bit broad.
Yeah, I mean, you've just sort of taken the name there, but that's fine. That's fine. I mean, if you could have Neil Ashley Young, of course, which is there.
Yeah,
but the one
good.
I was going to say, we need a goalkeeper for the Glastonbury 11.
Yeah.
Glastonbury, of course, bearing in mind which county it's in, you want to have Jan Somerset in goal. Do you not?
Good, yeah, that's very good. And Hood the London cabbie, Ed Shearer.
Yeah.
I don't mind that.
I'm suddenly becoming this Glastonbury geek. Has he ever played Glastonbury?
Keep them coming in on 8-10-89. Right, Manchester United endured their worst Premier League campaign in history last season. But are they already on the mend with a couple of players seemingly on their way to Old Trafford?
Now Cunha, a long ball forward for him into the penalty area, fires it in low, and that settles it.
Manchester United have their first signing of the summer. Matheus Cunha has completed his £62.5 million move from Wolverhampton Wanderers. The club have just announced that officially in the last few moments.
No one is like United, you know. My decision show a lot what this club is for me and what I believe this club can be.
And Mbeumo volleys it home. What a goal from Brian Mbeumo.
Manchester United are edging closer to the signing of Mbeumo. The two clubs over a deal that's worth about 60 million. They're progressing now, and actually Manchester United ideally want to confirm Mbeumo before they return for pre-season.
Well, don't trust anything that last reporter said, honestly. No, useless. But, you know, it's looking, I think, fairly exciting, this, for Manchester United. Matheus Cunha and Mbeumo. Cunha obviously already through the door, but Mbeumo seeming like he is going to be following. It's going to be costing them more than £120 million because we believe the package agreed for Mbeumo is actually more than the 62.5 that they agreed for Cunha. What do you make of this business? Because I do feel that there maybe was a section of potentially Manchester United fans who were going, look, we used to go out and get the best names in the business. Yeah. Now we're going for Brentford's and Mbeumo and Cunha from Wolves. But actually, you know, these two players for me are Premier League proven, brilliant seasons last time out. And you've got to look at where Manchester United are at the moment. No European football, and they came 15th last season.
Yeah, and people always say you've got to, improve your squad when you're in a position of strength, right? Well, Manchester United are not in a position of strength. However, they've still got pulling power, haven't they? They've still got a bit of the wow factor, especially for some players who maybe grew up supporting them or watching them. So there's still that. And while they still have that, before even that goes, they need to sign some players. And I think Cunha and Mbeumo are two, if they do get him from Brentford, which we expected them to do so, if they can do that, I think that's brilliant business. And the words brilliant and brilliant business are not ones you equate with Manchester United at the moment. I mean, you say that they're going to have to stump up a bit more cash for Brian Mbeumo. I mean, that's one in the eye for Sir Jim Ratcliffe, so that's always a good thing. But with regard to the signings, yes, Cunha, I think is excellent, and I think it's an excellent signing, perhaps for not the reasons why they bought him, because Cunha is quite a rugged type of player, and what I mean by that is this type of player who, if nothing's happening or the other players are not performing, he'll just be like, for crying out loud, let's just give me the ball and he'll ping one in the top corner. Yeah. I saw Wolves go to Fulham last season.
I was at that game as well, actually.
Yeah, were you right? And Wolves won 4-1. And that was Gary O'Neill's Wolves, by the way, okay? But he scored 2 absolute worldies that day. One, a Dennis Bergkamp-esque touch from a long ball, finishes superbly, and another one out of nothing, boom, in off the bar, 25-yarder. He can do these things, and this is something we all know. And Manchester United, I think, will need that. That's not plan A, of course it's not, but they have that now in their locker, because really Bruno Fernandes was the only one who was going to do something like that. Maybe Garnacho here and there, but he's surely on his way out of the club. If he has his way, he will be. So I think Cunha is an excellent signing. I really, really do. And providing he doesn't start taking people's glasses off their face and all the rest of it, and he doesn't get banned too much, he'll be around and he'll make a big contribution. And Brian Mbeumo, I think, is, as I said earlier, a fabulous player. And to be honest with you, I'm amazed he might end up going there, because I think to myself, this is a guy who could be playing Champions League football. He's that good.
So what do you think the pull has been? Do you actually think this is down to it being Manchester United?
Yes, I do.
Really?
And the wages as well. Let's not be silly here. Money talks.
What's luring him more, do you think, then?
I think it's probably a bit of both, to be quite honest with you. I think that you have to understand, if you're a footballer, you back yourself and you think, this club is in the mire here. There are, to call them a sleeping giant might not be quite right, but they're clearly a side who they should be doing better. And everybody agrees with that.
Yeah, of course.
Everybody remembers, even last season, it was better, for crying out loud. So, they'll think, right, okay, I could be the man or one of the men to go in there and really get them going. And when Old Trafford's in full flow, it is quite something. And Manchester United, they are still one of the biggest clubs in the world. It is quite incredible that they've not got European football, But, they've had a shocking season, yes. But with the manager now, with a full pre-season, surely it can't get any worse than it did last season. Time will tell. But these signings, what they've done is let's take the Europa League final, right? How poor were they against Spurs? I mean, it really was. Spurs bundle one in, right? Fair play to them. They won the game. But Postecoglou, a guy who likes attacking football, he doesn't like to defend. He knew if they just sit back, Manchester United won't score. They will not score. And talkSPORT's Ali McCoy was on the co-coms. He's going, why don't you just bring Garnacho and half them, do something? Because this is the dynamic. They were never going to score unless it was something that maybe Bruno Fernandes did. They need something going forward. Rashford wants to go out on loan. Yep. Sancho, it's odd to still think of him as a Manchester United player. What have they got going forward? At the back, yeah, maybe they need a bit of tightening up, but I think it is that forward line that they need to do something. And if they get Brian Mbeumo in there, they've already got Cunha. I think that's a huge statement, and they had to do something. And to be fair to them, they are, and they're doing it.
And what's interesting as well is we understand that if when they do get Mbeumo through the door, all the attention is then going to turn to getting some kind of number 9 as well. So they are going to have a completely different front three, and which will be a totally different Manchester United to watch, and it will be the way that Ruben Amorim wants to set his team up. He'll finally I thought that there did come a point last season where he was using that excuse a bit too much, where he was saying, I don't have the players, they don't really work my system. A bit of me was going, well, come on, you've got to adapt a bit, to sort the situation out, because there was points last season where you thought if the bottom 3 weren't that bad, you'd have been in a relegation battle. But this time there's no real excuses for Amorim, because he is going to be getting at least some of the tools that he does want. I do agree that they need to address, they could address every area on the pitch. Do you think, actually, given that they're getting Mbeumo and getting Cunha, yes, Højlund was woeful last season, but do you think that the priority should be replacing him, or should it be, I don't know, getting a new goalkeeper, getting maybe another midfielder, tightening up at the back? Given that they've already bought in 2 decent attackers, should they focus elsewhere?
Yeah, it's a fair question. I still think if you can get a proper forward who's going to score your goals, you've got to get him in there, because Bruno Fernandes must be thinking, do you know what? Next season, if I look up and I can see some players in front of me who are just not going to lose the ball or are going to make intelligent runs and all the rest of it, he'll be loving that. So I think you keep building, and as you say, you're reconstructing that whole front line, and I think they'll be totally totally different. The width will come from the wing backs, as we know. I think Dorgu has done okay, and you've got the young lad whose name escapes me on the other side, who's played very well. So you have that, and Diallo, of course, is the man I'm trying to think of. I think they can put in a good shift. They're two decent players. Suddenly you've got Cunha in there. If you get Mbeumo in there, say if you get a Gyökeres, who's apparently more interested in joining Man United than Arsenal. Goodness knows why. Okay, I think he needs his brain tested, but if that's the case, but fair play to him, okay? You get something, that's a totally different side. Yeah. Totally different side. As I say, you've got Bruno in there in the centre of the pitch pulling the strings. I tell you what, that's a lovely old job. So, yes, of course, there's the defence and maybe the goalkeeper. I think the goalkeeper situation, though, Onana is a decent keeper. We saw that when he was at Inter. It's just the problem at Manchester United is players go there and are just suddenly shot to pieces with regards to confidence. They don't know what they're doing. It's all over the place. So you've got to be careful.
So do you think they should stick with Onana then and ride it out? I think they've got to change that situation.
But you've got to balance the books.
It's too far gone, isn't it?
You do. I understand that totally, and I'm not going to. That is not a hill I'm prepared to die on. Saying they've got to start with Onana. Clearly, he's better than what he's been doing. Very highly rated keeper. Hence, they bought him. But you've got to balance the books. And so if you want to get another goalkeeper in who's of quality, then you're going to have to pay for it. Then you've got Onana. Who's going to sell it? This is the problem with the Premier League, right? And all the money. You don't, not like it used to be, where you'd have, say, 10, 12 clubs in Europe thinking, actually, we might want him. Unless it's another loan deal, but they don't want to do that. It's maybe 3 clubs, 4 clubs that could afford him. And they probably all got goalkeepers who are better than Onana. So it's a very difficult situation. My feeling would be is that I think they'll probably stick with him because of the situation, not because maybe they've got an enormous amount of faith. And Man United fans might be saying, come on, for crying out loud, how can we do that? With PSR and all the rest of it, you have to balance the books. It's not like it used to be in the old days. So I think keep going with the forward line because it's looking very, very promising. Yeah, it's something we haven't said for a long time in Manchester United.
A very long time. 03717 223344 Manchester United fans, what have you made of your business so far? In just a moment, we've already chatted about Andre Onana maybe leaving the club. We'll talk about some of the other potential outgoings for Manchester United. This is talkSPORT. Marcus Speller, we've had another Glasgow 11 chat, which actually really fits the theme of what we're talking about.
Go on.
Texter says Anana Rama.
Oh, I mean, I like it. I feel that we're drifting away from Glastonbury 11 to just band 11. Do you know what I mean?
band.
I think the band has to have played Glastonbury.
Okay. Well, you might not. Well, Matthew, who's on our team, has had a good. Thing is, this is such a good one.
Yes.
But I think you're going to get annoyed by this because of your rules. There's no.
You said Glastonbury 11. It's your rules.
There's no rules at Glastonbury, Marcus. You know that.
You've never been, have you?
No, I've never been.
Yeah, yeah. You do need a ticket.
Yeah. Sergio Aguero Smith.
Look.
It's good, isn't it?
It is good.
It's good, but it's not Glastonbury.
Yeah, how do you and Stadium Rock as well is not usually. I mean, how do you have gone for David Dunn's and Roses? You know, we know that they were at Glastonbury last year or 2 years ago. So yeah.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah.
I love that you lined that up as well. pretending that you came out with that on the spot, but that was lined up, wasn't it?
I've had it for about 30 seconds in my head. Okay, during the ad break.
This is Transfer Insiders here on talkSPORT with me, Olly Clink, alongside Marcus Speller. Let's talk about some of those outgoings then for Manchester United, or potential ones. I think this is going to be really tricky. Let's start with Marcus Rashford, because Barcelona have been exploring a loan move for him. I firstly want your thoughts on that, because I find this a bit strange, because they're also still interested in Nico Williams.
Yes.
They've already got Rafinha.
Yeah.
I mean, if Rashford's going there, for me, he's already going to be the third choice on that left-hand side. Apparently, Hansi Flick likes his versatility, but I don't think you see the best of Rashford through the middle anyway. So
no.
I think as well with the World Cup coming up, I mean, we know Rashford's very keen on this move, but would it be the right one for... I mean, it's difficult, isn't it? Because it's Barcelona, but is he going to get any game time?
Yeah, I know what you mean. I think he would. I mean, obviously, Lewandowski kind of leads the line, but I mean, he's getting on in years. I mean, he's still very effective and an excellent goal scorer. The Rashford situation for me is it's really, really tricky. I mean, Barcelona, I'm glad that they are learning a little bit about basic basic maths, because we know what they're like. You've got no money, lads. Yeah, but we're still going to spend it on £100 million play. No, you need to balance the books here. So at least they're going for a Rashford on loan. So they're learning slowly but surely how it works. But look, he said he wanted to play with Lamine Yamal at Barcelona. Yeah, I'm sure he would. I've absolutely no doubt about that. Rafinha, as you say, is one of the best players in world football at the moment. But Rashford, I think when you see a team like that, it isn't just a 4-3-3 or a 4-2-3-1 in straight lines. And if Lewandowski in advancing years, they have so many games to play, Rashford could play a little bit through the middle and be a bit more sort of a part of a dynamic front line there, if indeed he was to go. Manchester United want the sale because that would be good for them. He's an academy guy, right? So it goes down as pure profit, and also to get those enormous wages off their books. But it's often the wages that are the sticking point here. We're the same for Sancho, and it's the same with Rashford. And I do find the world of football quite funny, because they've done those contracts, and their agent and them have played a blind to getting that kind of money. Fair play, and that's probably what they were worth at one point in time. But if you want to go and play, and you really want to go and be a player in another, because as we mentioned just before the break, teams don't have the money to do that around the continent. Really, there's a few. That's why he's being linked with PSG, but he's not going to get in that side now. They've got their team. You would think he's not going to go to Bayern Munich. How many suitors are there?
Yeah.
So
other than Saudi, and
indeed,
exactly
in European football, exactly. And if you go to Saudi, let's be honest, that would be just really disappointing. I think from anybody with an ounce of football purity about them. So what do? And are they going to take a wage cut? And you think to yourself, well, look, mate, I understand Manchester United paid you that at that time, but if you want to go and play, then you're going to have to say, I'm going to play for 50 grand a week less or something like that. That is the reality of the situation. Okay, and Rashford and Sancho as well, and we're talking about Rashford. They've got to make a decision here. Yeah, and that's the harsh reality of it, because Barcelona, even next year, he can go there a season on loan. They won't sign him permanently because of the money and whatnot. You can run down contracts. That'll take a little bit of time, but I just want to see him play. I think that's it. When you see the likes of Rashford and Sancho, why Sancho went to Manchester United in the first place, I remember at the time everyone thinking, Okay, what's going to happen here? But these are such talented players, lest we forget. I understand that they've not hit the highs that they have done previously, but Rashford had moments at Aston Villa. You saw that there's a guy there who wants to play, and he can still play. And as fans, that's what we want to see. I understand it's his career. I understand that he may well not want to take a wage cut, and it's his life and it's a short career. I totally get all that. But the football fan in me is just like, come on, surely Manchester United can sit down with Marcus Rashford and say, right, what's the best for everybody here? Amorim doesn't want you here. He doesn't see you fitting in the plans. Rashford says, well, I don't want to stay here. You know, he had that interview, didn't he, with Henry Winter at the turn of the year or just before, and said, you know, I'm done here. I am done and I'm ready for a move. So it's everybody's interest that he doesn't go there. So how can they make that happen? And that's what we want to see.
Yeah, absolutely. Joe is a West Brom fan, but he wants to chat Manchester United. Joe, what have you made of their business so far, and what do you think they should do?
All right, lads. Yeah, no, I like the look of the business that they've done so far. Obviously, Cunha is big. Then Burma is going to be a really top signing, I think. He's scored a lot of goals. As you say, though, I think you need that number 9. They should go all in on Gyökeres. He's scored a lot of goals under Amorim, in Amorim's system. I think also, I mean, I know about amortisation and PSR and all that stuff, but it has to be a keeper as well. I've seen they're looking at Diogo Costa. I think he'd be a cracking keeper.
Yeah, that's a really, really good shout. And you're right to point out that the link with Amorim and Gyökeres, which could be it's at least like could be something that's a deal breaker, isn't it? It's something that they can cling on to, because like you said, Marcus, I've got no idea, let's be fair here, why he would choose Manchester United over Arsenal at the moment, just given what Arsenal are kind of competing for. So yeah, and I don't know, it's an interesting one in terms of those incomings too, because actually, you know, you said earlier it's strange to equate Manchester United with brilliant and business, and actually I think that's because, you know, when you look at the business that they did under Erik ten Hag, it was a lot of players from around the continent, and a lot of them haven't worked at all. And actually this time they have changed tack, and they've gone, right, if we're going to get players, they're going to be players that have done well within the Premier League. So I do understand why they've gone for Mbeumo and Cunha. I do think it is pretty good business as well. Plenty still to come. Newcastle fans, we're going to be chatting about them in just a moment, linked with 3 Premier League players. Would it be worth the money, though? Would it take Newcastle United forward? This is Transfer Insiders on talkSPORT.
Brentford have appointed their set-piece coach Keith Andrews as new manager. The former Republic of Ireland number 2 has signed a 3-year deal at the GTEC for his first role as a head coach. Ruud van Nistelrooy says he wishes Leicester well after leaving the club by mutual consent. This season he led the Foxes to a second relegation from the Premier League in 3 seasons. So who's going to take over?
But anyone who understands the fight, understands the city, and understands what the fans actually want. The fans are fantastic. They'll be there every week. As long as they see a bit of fight about them, as long as they see players that are giving 110%, the fans will be there for you, not a problem.
England cricket boss Rob Key says Jofra Archer will play one of the next 2 tests against India after 4 years away from the format because of various injuries. He's been included in the squad for Edgbaston next week, but former world number 1 bowler Steve Harmison doesn't believe Archer will play in Birmingham.
I think England have picked him in the squad not to play him at Edgbaston, but possibly to release him on Monday, so he doesn't bowl in both innings for Sussex on an absolute shirt front with a ball that's doing absolutely nothing and potentially stand in the field for 200 overs over 4 days. That's what I would do with him. So I think they've picked him. Great, get him in the squad. I then release him once the team's announced.
Preparations continue for the Lions opening game on Australian soil when they take on the Western Force in Perth tomorrow. Assistant coach John Fogarty says they just can't wait.
We've had 3 good days training. Everyone wants to get this tour on Australian soil going. So yeah, it's been really, really exciting, you know, for the group that's going to go out there.
And the draw for Wimbledon has been made. Jack Draper will take on Sebastian Baez. He's also in the same half of the draw as Novak Djokovic. Emma Raducanu, meanwhile, plays British teenage wildcard Mimi Xu.
Really tough draw. I fully expected to have no problems playing the British youngster first match, but the likelihood she will play Vondrousova second round. Now, Vondrousova, as we know, won Wimbledon a couple of years ago, and she's been injured recently, but did win a big tournament a couple of weeks ago in Berlin. So maybe Vondrousova might be, you know, in a prime position to have a good run the next couple of weeks.
There's more at talkSPORT.com.
Good evening, this is Transfer Insiders on talkSPORT with me, Olly Clink. I'm alongside the Football Rambles Marcus Speller, the king of Glasgow himself.
I've been once, but it was a great year.
One and done.
That's it. One not out.
Loads still to come for you on the show. We'll chat a bit about Arsenal a bit later. Some links with Eberechi Eze. Tom Canton, the chief Arsenal correspondent for Football.London, is going to join us to chat about that. Of course, the Gyökeres Sesko saga continues as well. A bit later as well, we're going to be talking about our favourite ever transfer for our club and the worst transfer we've ever seen. As a Newcastle fan, there's more options for the second one, I would say.
Yeah, got a few.
But plenty still to come, as I say, on Transfer Insiders on talkSPORT.
talking of my Newcastle, Marcus, it looks as if they might be about to start to get busy in this window, which I'm looking forward to. Of course, we understand that this week they've sought to try and get João Pedro from Brighton. Brighton have rejected an offer worth in excess of 50 million. For Pedro from Newcastle. They're also after James Trafford from Burnley. Also after Anthony Elanga, and we think that Forest will be holding out for around 60 million for him as well. So it would be some splurge were they to get all three of those players. And even that may be a bit of a tall order, especially if they splash quite a lot on João Pedro. What's your first reaction to Newcastle going for that kind of player? Do you think that, heading into a season where they are going to be in the Champions League, are they aiming high enough, in your opinion?
Yeah, I think James Trafford would be a good signing, and I think that he's a very highly rated player, of course. Was crucial in that England under-21 side who won the Euros last time round. And they've been, I think the goalkeeping area is somewhere that they've been looking to improve on for a little while now. Nick Pope's, he's put in a shift, and I know one or two others have, Dubravka and so on. But Trafford, I think, would be an excellent signing. Inexperienced, of course, at that level, and when you start talking about the Champions League and so on and so forth. But I think he's good enough to make the step up. And João Pedro and Anthony Elanga, again, I mean, Elanga had a really good year with a really good season with Forest, of course. These are solid Premier League players. I did wonder if Newcastle might just have a little glance and think, could we be in for a shout for the title next season?
Really?
I thought maybe. It'll be interesting to say what they do. It'll be very much an outside shout, don't get me wrong. And they probably saw Florian Wirtz go to Liverpool and thought, maybe another year.
Well, that's that done.
Yeah, exactly, yeah. But I think what Newcastle are really wanting to do is, we know that they've been blighted by injuries before, and that's kind of almost sort of threatened to derail a season before with them. So they've always needed a few more options off the bench and get that squad a little bit beefed up. And in the Champions League, you've got lots more games against quality opposition. That's what you've got to do. I think these are solid signings. I don't think they are... It's not the wow factor, but you see those signings, I look at them and go, that's about right. I thought maybe they might go and really try maybe like one or two sort of, as I say, wow signings. But I think that what we've seen Newcastle do over the last few seasons is pretty sensible business.
Yes.
They've got that,
do you know what?
trophy.
They've hardly had a miss.
Yeah, exactly.
Actually, since they've been taken over.
They've got, and also, you've got to be careful. They've got such a good cohesive unit, that squad. We every photo that they would release on social media when they won, they're all in the changing room together. The spirit that Howe and Tyndall have fostered there, the way they've all bought into it, they got that trophy, which was massive. They got into the Champions League. You don't want to upset that as well. You've got to keep that going.
Yeah.
And so, they believe in the players that they have. Can they raise it? I think they can.
Yeah.
They've look at that midfield three,
it's ridiculous.
The envy of a lot of teams in the Premier League as well. Isak, my goodness, he's one of the best forwards in world football. So it was all about, right, who can you add, again, to bolster these? Because maybe the positions you have, maybe there isn't too many wow signings. I mean, I thought Brian and Boomer was one that they were maybe going to look at. Yeah. But as a number of Newcastle fans pointed out to me, well, hang on a minute, we've got Jacob Murphy there. And you think, look at his numbers.
But do you know what? It's interesting because Jacob Murphy actually got better numbers than Anthony Elanga last season, which is amazing, isn't it? But, I mean, the right-hand side is somewhere they need to strengthen anyway. And it's very valuable to have a player like Murphy in the squad, especially with the season he's just had. But at the same time, he's the only really natural right winger.
And you've got to have those options. You saw in the League Cup final when Anthony Gordon got that very unfortunate booking and he was out. Who comes in? Harvey Barnes, who's a good operator. And yes, I don't think these players are, say, going to win you the Champions League, for example. But I don't think anyone would think that. What they'll look at is say, Aston Villa, what they did last season. Now, Villa had PSG, who I think we'd all agree, and the Cup backs it up, that they're the best team in Europe right now. Villa had them on the ropes for a bit. On another day, that goes to extra time, and who knows? So you find yourself in, say, a Champions League quarter-final, and I think Newcastle look at that, and they'll be inspired by that and think, well, hang on a minute. Who's got the better squad here? It's a bit of a tosser. So I think that they could do really good things next season, but it's about just keep improving.
Yeah.
And you never know where you find yourself.
And that's for me why I think these signings make sense. And I agree that, you might look at those names and not think, and think, oh wow, this is amazing. Oh wow, Newcastle going out and splashing the cash once again. But that's what's worked for them before.
Exactly.
That's why they've managed to win a cup last season and get into the Champions League. I think João Pedro makes a lot of sense because they definitely need a backup to Alexander Isak, and also he can play across the front three. He can also play as a 10, which means that if Eddie Howe does want to change it up, they'd have someone in that area. James Trafford, for me, makes sense. You look at that season he did have in the Premier League, and some people might look at it and go, oh my word, what are they doing? But actually, he was so good last season in the Championship. I know it's a league below, but you could tell he'd gone on a level. And also, Nick Pope's been great, but the way that Trafford doesn't just save shots, is the way that he uses his feet. I think it's going to be really important to make him...
I think that's somewhere where Nick Pope struggled. I mean, I saw Newcastle, I've seen him a couple of times in recent seasons, and Big Dan Burn was playing left back that day, and he would push up all the way to the halfway line, and Pope was struggling to pick him out. And you think to yourself, distribution wise, again, no disrespect, Nick Pope's been a good servant to that club, and he's been a solid keeper. But if you do want to, it opens up the play a bit. It gives you tactically, it gives you different options. And if you're playing the Champions League, you have to do that. You can stick to your kind of formation and your kind of ideas in the Premier League. But as Newcastle found out last season, that works quite a lot of the time. But then they are susceptible to a shellacking from, say, Bournemouth or even the aforementioned Aston Villa. They really were. So that's where you need to make those in-game changes. You need to make those substitutes, get them off the bench and so on. And I, as you say, I think this is very sensible. But you, as a Newcastle United fan, you've said that these kind of signings make sense. What would you hope for next season for Newcastle United, realistically?
Yeah, it's a really, really good question. I think, as boring as it sounds, I think qualifying again for the Champions League is so unbelievably important, because they did have that season where they were very unfortunate to miss out on Europe altogether. Obviously, in a way, it kind of worked out in their favour in terms of last season doing so well. But I think because of what I think are ridiculous PSR rules in the way that they limit clubs like Newcastle and Aston Villa, rules need to be in place. But
did you say that before the Saudis turned up, did you? These PSR
rules. What a joke they are. No, but it's not necessarily the rules in general. I do understand the argument that you can't just have people come in and buy the league. I do understand that. But I think they're so outdated at the moment. And Villa in particular as well have already been selling big players, and they're still having to do that. And I know they take a bit of a roll of the dice, but they qualified for the Champions League, and they're almost being punished for their success, which I just think is unbelievably frustrating. In terms of these potential signings coming in João Pedro and James Trafford and Anthony Elanga, the one thing I did want to ask you actually is, João Pedro, we're looking at in excess of 50 million. Anthony Elanga, if they got him over the line, would be more than 60. James Trafford, I think the fee is around 30-ish, but Burnley want more. Especially with Elanga and João Pedro, would you say that would be Newcastle overpaying for those two players?
I mean, that's what you got to pay. I mean, people always use that phrase Premier League tax, which is actually not quite true. If you look at some of the biggest signings made coming into the Premier League or by Premier League clubs, a lot of them are actually from abroad. But Premier League clubs know that the other clubs have got a lot of money. So, that's the thing. They are the most flush clubs, really, in Europe, other than a few like PSG and Bayern and one or two others. So you can hold out. I mean, Forest, they do have European football next season. They've had a good year. And Anthony Elanga has been a good player for them. They think themselves, well, if you want him, then come on. We're not just going to let they're going to play hard ball as well. Brighton have done this. How many times have Brighton done this? I mean, what was the fee for Moises Caicedo? And one or two of their other players. They are not going to be shot over here. They're not going to be pushed around. And I think that for clubs of lower league Premier League, teams who are a little bit further down the table or mid-table Premier League sides, that's actually music to fans' ears. You don't want the big clubs to come and go, right, well, we'll have him in. You want them, you've got to pay for them. And I think that the owners of these clubs know that, because these players, they're still earning decent money at Brighton and Forest. It's not the money that they may make at, say, Newcastle or one or two others. But I think that is just the lie of the land in the Premier League. It's such a wealthy beast. They know they've got the money.
Yeah. Do you think, though, there will be, there must be some Newcastle fans going, but hold on, why don't we go for someone else? Why don't we look across the continent? Maybe Johan Bakayoko they've been linked with, or Karim Adeyemi from Borussia Dortmund, rather than going for Forest Anthony Elanga for what looks like. I mean, I would argue he's not worth more than 60.
No, I would say that as well. But were you impressed with him last season in the Premier League? Do you know what I mean?
And he's linking up with Isak as well, as Swedish international.
Exactly, yeah. You can ask Chrissy Wood what the club's about, and all that kind of stuff. So, I do get that. But, I mean, it's more of a gamble if you're bringing someone from outside of the league into the league. That's just obvious. You've just got to weigh it up because, as you say, yes, Forest aren't going to be pushed around, but at the same time, Newcastle don't want to be taken for fools. So, how much do Forest want the profit from the money, or how much do they want to keep the player? It's just it's a game of cards, and who's going to blink first?
03717 223344. Newcastle fans, João Pedro, James Trafford, and Anthony Elanga. If that was this summer, is it a good window? Where else do they need to strengthen as well? Give us a call on that. Keep your Glasto 11 texts coming in as well. Some belters on their way in. We'll read out them in just a moment. Text us on 81089 for that. You can think of some more as well, Marcus.
Oh, don't you worry, I will.
They've got to fit within the rules, though, haven't they?
Well,
the Glasto rules.
You said it was. You didn't say it was a music 11. You said it was a Glastonbury 11. I just want to keep up the fine integrity. That's
just about freedom,
Is that what it is?
Give us
like the president there.
Give us a call 03717 223344. I love the talkSPORT listeners.
I do.
I really do. They're
Wonderful
genius.
bunch. Go on, what have you got?
For the Glasto 11.
Yes, here we go.
We've got some footballers. Adele Ali.
Yeah.
Adele's done Glasto, hasn't she?
I feel like she has. I think so. We'll let it go. Is it okay?
I like it. Yeah. She did the pyramid stage, surely.
I think she did, yeah. Yeah.
Steve Bruce Springsteen.
There you go. Love that.
I absolutely love this, but this is my favourite so far. It is a stretch, this.
Go on.
Tony, the Celtic fan. This is a real stretch, Tony.
Go on.
It so doesn't
Bearing in mind I had pyramid.
Earlier. Playing in the Club World Cup.
Yeah.
He's gone for Freddie Porter-Leuenberg.
Let him have it. It's his Friday night
it's
too.
Porter-Leuenberg.
Yeah, there's that as well.
Yeah, it's a great effort there. Do you know what I like though? Because we asked for more, the infrastructure of Glasgow.
Yes.
Ones, and they've come through. This is also a very good one from Ben. William Saliba.
Yeah, we'll have that.
I like that.
I was thinking John Stedliner. The headliner.
Oh, good.
John Stedliner, yeah.
Good.
Thanks.
Very, very good. I need to get some more in. I've only come up with 2 so far.
You're just curating it. That's what you're doing.
And also, we're nowhere near as good as the listeners. Keep them coming in. 81089. We've been chatting about Newcastle United and some of their business. You made me very excited before the break, Marcus.
Oh, no,
not in that way.
Yeah. Don't tell me what happened during the break. Crying out loud.
But you were talking about potentially thinking that Newcastle could challenge for the league. Do you still think that with the business that's happened so far?
So just to remind, if you've just tuned in and you didn't hear what I said a few minutes ago,
don't adjust your radio.
Yeah, exactly. I said that I wondered if Newcastle would just sort of glance at the idea of maybe having a tilt for the title next season, and I thought maybe you might see a couple of like really big signings, but I think with what other teams are doing and what they've done, I think is probably right what they are doing. Just build and also see where you are. You never know. You could do a Leicester City, even though they're obviously were battling relegation last season. So I still think Liverpool are heavy favourites. I mean, they've signed Florian Wirtz, for crying out loud. That is a statement. Such a statement signing that. And yet they've been very understated about the whole thing, haven't they? It's not like they did some sort of... and it wouldn't be like them, of course, some sort of huge, Galactico-esque type sort of social media campaign. It was like, we got our man, great stuff, see you for training on Monday, sort of thing. Like I really like how they went about it that way. It was kind of like, well, yeah, of course we got him, and it was all very nice and calmly done. So Liverpool will be the favourites. Of course they will be, because they were so devastatingly good in the league last season. Arsenal, as Ben Jacobs was saying, he thinks they're going to have a huge summer window as well. I mean, Zubamendi's a great signing, I think. They need that centre forward. It's looking like it may not be Gyökeres, because he may well go to Manchester United. We shall see, but he's a man who's on the move, and we think surely he's going to come to the Premier League. So, Liverpool will be favourites. Arsenal will be, talked about there or thereabouts.
What about Manchester City, though? What about Manchester? They absolutely battered Juventus.
They did.
In the Club World Cup.
Yeah.
Whatever you think of that competition.
Sure.
That really was City back at their best.
It was.
And there's one key man that maybe we've all forgotten about.
Old Rodri. Yeah, he's back, isn't he?
Rodri Stewart.
I feel like because about halfway or earlier than halfway last season, I was very much like, Man City, they're done for under Guardiola, as in terms of challenging for the league. I didn't think they were going to be relegation fodder.
Had you written them off, Marcus?
Yeah, I wrote them off quite early on, as a lot of people did. I don't take any huge credit for that, because again, Liverpool were just steamrolling everybody in the league. I actually thought under Guardiola they would never get back to the heights that they'd previously seen. So the idea of them being, going deep in the Champions League, challenging for the league title, I thought that had gone, and I thought to myself, Man City, they'll be still a Champions League team, but I don't see them even the following season challenging. I think that every time this has happened,
sorry, not even challenging
for the title. That's what I thought.
Right, have you changed your mind now?
I'm sort of. It's like a horror film, like they're coming. They're coming back to life. They're coming to get me. Rodri is gaining ground on me, and it's like, oh no, this is happening again, isn't it? No. So exactly. So I'm beginning to row back a little bit on that shout I said. Although maybe I should just don't back down.
How far have you rowed back? The oars in the water, or like what are we talking here? How far have you rowed back?
I've put my hands on the oars.
Really?
Yeah. After the
because I'm sorry, but I just
do you think they'll be challenging?
I think of course, because the impact of Rodri.
Yeah.
If he stays fit,
I've got both hands on the oars now. I'm thinking, where's the boathouse?
I wouldn't listen to me. but yeah, I think the impact of Rodri we have forgotten about.
Yeah.
He is ridiculous. And actually, when you think about it, at the start of last season, before they completely imploded, before Rodri got that injury, Man City were absolutely flying. Haaland was scoring a ridiculous amount of goals.
Yeah. I don't think flying might be slightly over top, but either or, yes, they were playing well. I totally give you that, because it was the case. It just seemed to break, and the confidence and everything. And I know they kind of patched it up, and they finished the season pretty well. But I still thought, I don't think they're going to get back to it. Time will tell, of course. But as you say, the Club World Cup, it does seem that they've got the bit between their teeth again. I'll definitely say that. So I'm sure there'll be a lot of people who will think, you idiot, you called that far too early. We shall see, as I say. But they are going to have to compete with Liverpool.
Yeah.
And as I say, with getting Florian Wirtz in there, and Kirkesh looks as though he's going to be going as well. Frimpong's there. It's tasty.
Yeah,
it really is tasty.
Just going back to Newcastle, when you were talking about their business and saying, what they could have done is maybe brought in a few huge stars and then gone for a bit of an unlikely title challenge at this stage. The thing is, I would say, is that Newcastle's starting 11 even now, maybe with a couple of additions, is very, very good, and on its day can beat any team in the Premier League.
Yes.
I think what Newcastle actually really need is depth, so badly, and especially going into a season in the Champions League. But there was just so many games last season where Eddie Howe would turn to his bench, and with all due respect, I remember the Aston Villa game. They lost 4-1, and Villa were bringing some amazing players off the bench. Maybe the likes of, I don't know, Rashford was coming on.
Sure, but even there was a loan.
Marlon, or
Asensio was there. He was on loan, but he still was at the club.
Yes, there we go. Yeah, and Eddie Howe was turning around, and he had Sean Longstaff and Joe Willock, which it's not necessarily even that they're that bad a player. It's more like that he was bringing them on in an attacking sense.
Yeah, you've got to have more.
Yeah,
because those two have put a huge shift in, as we say. So you don't want to disrespect anybody. They've played their part. But you are right. Got to have a bit more, and the attacking options as well. You got to have people who know how to put the ball away, and that's such a huge thing. So I think if they did get Joao Pedro and say Anthony Elanga, I think that's solid business. As I say, I'm not looking at that going flipping heck, blimey, here they come. But I'm looking at it thinking solid. And to be honest with you, I think that's again, Newcastle have had their PSR issues as well with the finances. That they've got to be careful. So yeah, I don't think it's too shabby at all. I wondered if they were going to maybe pick up their interest on Mark Gay. I know he's one that people have looked around. But what defensively though? How do you think Newcastle are set coming into next season?
See, I would have said before this window that the key positions to strengthen would be a centre back and a right winger.
Yeah,
they're the two positions they actually have to strengthen. Look, it'd be great if Gahey came to the club, and actually we know that he wants to essentially he doesn't want to sign a new deal.
His head's there for the turning. Yeah.
So it might be the Palace do want to cash in on him in the summer. There's plenty of clubs after him, of course, but with that kind of long-standing interest, it might be one that Newcastle can potentially get done. The thing is, it's Dan Burn and Fabian Schär were brilliant last season. A key part of why they were so good. But it's just the age factor.
Yeah, neither is a spring chicken.
Yeah, absolutely. So I would say,
they both look fabulous, though. I should say, boys.
Yeah. Oh, big time.
Yeah, big time, massive time in Dan Burn's case. Yeah.
Anyway, plenty still to come here on the show. We've got some more Glasto texts. By the way,
you got a bit flustered there when I started talking about Fabian Schär. You're like, what a beautiful man.
Big Fab. Yeah, what a guy. Anyway, we've got some more texts coming. These are really good now. These are the game has been up throughout the evening, which I'm really enjoying. For the Glasto 11, we've got Sean from Cambridge, Pink Floyd, Hasselbank.
Yes, I like that.
That's proper Glasto as well.
Yeah, exactly.
I like that. Eric Dire Straits.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
Yeah, could have gone for Kieran, but he went for Eric.
Yeah.
Monaco's Eric Dyer.
Well, Kieran Dyer played for Newcastle, Dire Straits, Geordies, so could have made that.
I'm liking your work there.
Not that well done, but could have been better, Sean.
Yes. Outrageous. See what I mean? It's infectious, this, isn't it?
Steve in Essex, Dennis Bergkamp. Yeah, a lot. To be fair, you could have Lee Camp.
Yeah.
Ivan Campo.
There you are.
A couple of those.
Campos,
yeah.
There's more than one of you.
I really like this from Ross. Luka Mudryk.
That's good. Yeah. And, I could have had Mikhail Mudryk as well.
Oh, yeah.
If he's still a footballer.
Yeah. And Danny Wellybeck.
liking that. Well, I said earlier on in the show that I went in 2013 when Arctic Monkeys' Rolling Stones headlined, and the other headliner, of course, was Mumford and Heung-min Sons.
Oh, brilliant. I love this. Right, get your calls in, Newcastle fans, 03717 22 33 44. Up next, though, we're going to be chatting a bit of Arsenal. The chief Arsenal correspondent for Football London, Mr. Tom Canton, is joining us next to discuss the Gunners. 15. This is Transfer Insiders on talkSPORT with me, Olly Clink, alongside the Football Rambles Marcus Speller, the king of Glasgow.
You need to stop. I've only been once.
No, I love it. It's great. You got your pretty green T-shirt on as well. Are you going to Oasis?
Oh, big time. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Are you actually?
Yeah, I managed to get
Really?
a ticket, yeah.
Oh, well done.
Yeah, Football Ramble fans sorted me out.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, look at you.
Look at me.
No one sorted me out. We had Noel Gallagher on earlier, actually.
Did you really?
I tell you, if you haven't seen it, it's so good. With Jamie O'Hara. And Jamie had to do a quiz. And Noel Gallagher set the quiz.
Right.
And if Jamie passed the quiz, he would get a free ticket. Got 0 right.
Oh, my goodness.
As a big Oasis fan.
Yeah.
Yeah. Huge Oasis fan.
You're quite good at the old impressions.
Oh, thanks, mate. Yeah.
Are you going to do the one that you did for me at the break?
Potentially, yeah. We'll do it a bit later. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Don't want to jump the gun on that. Stick around. Honestly, I'm telling you now, if you think you're having a lovely Friday night, wait around for the impression that Olly Clink is going to do later. You will think that the person who's one of the biggest names going right now, let's be honest.
It's quite famous. Yeah.
Yeah, well, infamous as well. You will think the man's in the room.
Oh, brilliant. Well, that's very kind of you.
You wouldn't want him in the room, but you'll think he's here.
Just quickly, on the Glasgow 11, this is a huge stretch from Tony. It might be the same Tony who had a big stretch earlier. Alfinger wristband. That is come on. I'm not having that.
Alfinger wristband.
Yeah,
like
Haaland. It's nowhere near. Is what that is. Come on, Tony. Keep your big. If that is the same Tony, keep your big stretches coming in because I'm actually really enjoying.
Yeah, no, I like it. If you go for a big stretch, sometimes you do over stretch.
One of them will land.
Yes.
One of them will land.
Go on, Tone. We believe in you.
Come on, Tone. Right now, it's time for a bit of Arsenal chat. Tom Canton joins us now, Chief Arsenal Correspondent for Football.London and host of the Gooner Talk. Tom, very good evening.
How you doing, guys? You good?
Yeah, really, really good, thank you. The first thing I want to point out, Tom, is that we can see you on our screen. If you're watching us live on YouTube, you're able to see Tom as well. And you've got a microphone that's made by Rode, and we can see that you've actually rechristened it a Rode Guard microphone. Yeah, I like that.
I don't feel like I get enough credit for this, to be honest, but it's for those that spot it, get a little smile off the back of it, so I'm glad you've noticed it.
Yeah, very clever. We're enjoying that. We're enjoying the puns tonight anyway, aren't we?
Really? And the people at Rode will be very happy because there's a little bit of advertising for them.
Me, please.
Right, Tom, if we chat about Arsenal a bit, let's talk about the potential business so far, the likes of Zubimendi and Christian Norgard and Kepa coming through the door. I think it's fair to say that some of the businesses split Arsenal fans a bit. Some are saying, well, it's great, they're adding a bit of squad depth and it's the right kind of thing to be doing, hopefully more business to come. And some are saying, really, are these the kind of signings that we should be bringing in? Where do you kind of stand on this?
Yeah, it's the summer of forwards for Arsenal. We all know that. That's what Arsenal fans want. It's what Arsenal as a club need. But the bigger picture is that they need more than that. One of the big reasons why they failed last season was obviously the depth was not there for them. And they need to go into the market and add key players into those areas where they were lacking and did suffer a number of injuries. And that's what they've done with Andrea Berta, of course, sporting director, leading the charge this summer for the first time. Those signings are really key and important to do. And one of the things that Arsenal have been accused of quite a lot is not being swift enough in the market. And the fact that they might have 3, potentially 4, with this Mosquera news, of course, dropping in the last 48 hours or so, done before July starts, I think it's a good indication of the work that's going on there. And obviously, if they can land that mythical centre-forward and maybe another winger, it will be a very good window.
How's that looking then at the moment, Tom? Because, it seems to be this Gyökeres-Sesko saga, but there's potentially talk of Sesko's demands putting Arsenal off a bit. Where does it stand at the moment?
So my understanding that the kind of the personal terms, so I think with Sesko's maybe a little bit of bluster. I think, in fact, if Arsenal managed to agree a fee with Leipzig, I think he'd be more than happy to make that switch to Arsenal. It would be a step up for him in his career. He would be making that move to the Premier League that so many players covet. But it is that club-to-club side of things that we assume and know, and for the indications that we're getting, is causing kind of the stumbling blocks, if you will, with the bid. And I think that's why Arsenal are very much keeping their options open and are speaking to other centre-forwards, including Victor Gyökeres, of course, as well, from Sporting, who, from the sounds of it, is turning down pretty much everything else and pining for this move, for Arsenal. And it's a strange one, isn't it? Because you've got a player who's clearly the preference in Sesko, but you've got another very, very comfortably, in terms of goal scoring, a striker in Gyökeres, and clearly very keen on the move. But also there seems to be some issues in terms of a fee potentially with Sporting. So Arsenal are in a strange situation where they've got strikers wanting to join them, and they're still kind of struggling in terms of the fee side of things, because they don't want to overpay, as we've come to learn from Arsenal is a common thing.
So Tom, you sort of hinted there that Sesko would be your preferred player at Arsenal rather than Gyökeres. Why is that?
I think there's a number of reasons. I think obviously age is a factor initially. If you're investing upwards of 60, 70 million pounds in a centre forward, you want to have that long-term investment, and Sesko definitely offers that in that sense. But when you look at kind of the Slovenians' finishing numbers, they're actually really, really impressive. I think we can get swallowed up somewhat in the volume of goals that Gyökeres has scored in Portugal, and however many percentage of those are, of course, penalties as well, which bring it down. But you look at some of the numbers of Gyökeres compared to Sesko, and finishing-wise, Sesko outperforms us actually really, really well. And if Arsenal can do with something, it's a player, of course, that has that finishing ability, that can finish the tougher chances, or even the simpler chances that they were missing, of course, last season. And Gyökeres, when you actually delve into the numbers a little bit more, I was looking at his non-penalty goals from his time at Coventry and how that stepped up. And we think about the 95 goals in 100 games, but non-penalty goals-wise, he scored 18 in his last season with Coventry, which is a good tally. That only went up to 24 non-penalty goals in his first season with Sporting in the league, and then to 27 the season after. So I think it's quite enlightening, actually, when you delve into the finer details of those numbers, to see that Sesko and Gyökeres' goal scoring maybe isn't as far apart as what we assume it to be.
There have been some links as well with Eberechi Eze. We understand that he's one of their targets on their list of potential left wingers. What do you make of this, Tom? Because I think this is a slightly strange one. Obviously, he's a very good player, Eberechi Eze, but I would say that he operates more as a kind of number 10. He can play on the left, but for the majority of the time when he's playing at Palace, he is playing in that central role. It feels like a very Arteta approach to a signing, where he likes a player to be very versatile and able to play in a couple of positions.
Yeah, you took the words out of my mouth. Arteta really does like those players that can operate in multiple positions. Obviously, last season, Ødegaard didn't have his best of seasons, and I think obviously with them sending Fabio Vieira on loan and not bring anybody in that summer, that did leave them lacking with options. Ethan Nwaneri was kind of having his first season and did get an injury in January, which I think came upon the fact that he was taking that step up to senior football so quickly, and he mainly plays out in those wide areas anyway. So they were really lacking a number 8 or a number 10, kind of playing this weird advanced 8 role rather than the natural number 10. I remember asking Arteta in a press conference about the idea of bringing in depth for Ødegaard, and he actually name-checked Max Dowman as well, the youngster coming through for next season, which, without being prompted to bring up a 15-year-old is quite a thing. So with Eze, I get it. I think that there's options there in the left side, either the left 8, and maybe playing as kind of a competitor for Ødegaard as well. I love him as a player. I think he would be really an astute piece of business, actually, by Arsenal to add a player that can offer so much in so many different positions. But if they want a natural left-sided player, the other player that they're being talked about with is obviously Rodrigo, who surely makes a lot more sense.
I mean, do you think it's the summer then, Tom, for Arsenal to think, right, Rodrigo's there, we're going to have to spend a lot of money, and I know it's boring for fans to hear this, but PSR, financial constraints, I understand that, but surely Arsenal, they have to make statements this summer. I just look at it and I think a lot of fans just think, okay, fine, you can make some solid signings. You go, yeah, that's sensible. Where's the wow factor here? We spoke about this with Newcastle. We think make some solid signings, absolutely. For Arsenal, surely they've got to make signings which could win them the league next season. That is it, isn't it? That's what all the fans are saying, aren't they?
Yeah, especially when you look at what their main title rivals in Liverpool and Manchester City are doing in this window. They've already landed, big mega stars this window, and so have arguably widened somewhat the gap between themselves and Arsenal just in terms of squad building. So, yeah, while I really respect and appreciate the business that looks to be being done early on, and I think Zubimendi is an excellent addition for the team.
Yeah, I totally agree with you there, yeah.
But when it comes to that centre forward that we've known for years that Arsenal need to land, and it's not about shade on Kai Havertz, who I think is a very competent player that can play very well at centre forward, but if you're going to take Arsenal that's next level, adding 2 players that can get as close to who you've got at right wing in Bukayo Saka's level is what is going to transform Arsenal next season. So yes, the answer is if Arsenal can get those 2 players, either the centre forward, the left winger, or maybe an Eze type player who can also add a lot of quality into that forward option, I think that as well you're looking at them and going, yeah, that has to be a season where Arteta then surely is given the tools to win a trophy.
Well, on that, Tom, actually, I was going to ask you, with your Arsenal fan hat on, as much as that would make Arsenal an incredible side, and actually an incredible side with a lot of depth across the board, which I think they've maybe been missing a bit in the last couple of seasons, do you look at that business done by Liverpool and maybe by Manchester City with some of the players coming back from Man City and think, you know what, even if Arsenal do get those players over the line, it's going to be so difficult even then for them to go on and you know, get over the line and win the league?
Yeah, and that's the reality of trying to win a title in the Premier League. You know, when everybody's fit and fire and everyone's got their best tools available. Liverpool last season, you know, credit to them, brilliant campaign, and they did what they needed to do. But, you know, their rivals did obviously drop off for a number of reasons outside of their control with the injuries that both Man City and Arsenal suffered. And I think next season with the players that's being signed by these clubs, and even with Arsenal, if they were to land a Rodrigo or one of their centre-forward targets, plus the players they're looking at there, they'll be better equipped. But it's by no means a given that they then go on to win the league. They still have to earn that right. They've got a very good record against the big six sides when they come up against them, and they've got quite a few of them in their first 5 fixtures of the season. And so I think those first 5 games, if Arsenal have got those players in, obviously that will tell us a lot about where they're going to sit for the rest of the campaign.
Tom, thank you very much indeed.
Of course, pleasure, guys.
There we go, Tom Canton there from football.london. I've got some good news for you, Marcus.
Go on.
Tony's back.
Oh, come on, Tone.
Go on, Tone.
Here he comes.
And I like this.
Go on.
He says, you need a manager for the Glasgow 11.
You do, Tony.
Yeah. Maurizio.
Go on.
Maurizio.
Go on, say it was...
Pochettino. Go on, Tone.
We love you, Tony.
I love it. There's some more here. There's some really good ones. Tony, the Palace fan. Torre Andre Flowrider. Has Flowrider done Glasgow?
I can't imagine he has.
I don't think so. Maybe Parklife or something like that. I'm not sure.
But still, I like it.
Yeah, Andy says 10 Alexander-Arnold.
Yeah, that's
another 10th one. I like that.
Very welcome. Very welcome.
I think this might be the best one so far.
Go on.
Frankie from Manchester. Jose Latrinio.
That's lovely. That's a lovely one.
Very, very
Another
good.
Manager in there.
Very good. I want more from you, Tony.
Yeah.
All right, I do.
Yeah.
Tony's been giving some big shouts throughout the afternoon. Some of them have landed, some of them haven't.
We like the cut of your jib, Tone.
Yeah.
We think you've got style. We think you've got creativity. We think you've got something.
Yeah. And if you can beat Tony, 8-89 in the text for the Glastonbury 11. Up next here on Transfer Insiders, we'll be looking at some of the biggest stories making talkSPORT.com. This is Transfer Insiders on talkSPORT. This is Transfer Insiders here on talkSPORT with me, Olly Clink, alongside Marcus Speller. Tony's back. It might be a different Tony, this. I think it might be a different
If
Tony.
your name's Tony, get involved.
It's a good shout for the Glasgow 11. Patrick Bergervan.
Yeah, I like it. Very good.
He's thought about the infrastructure again.
He has again.
I do
yes,
like that.
absolutely right. Yeah.
This is good from Peter. Arnie tea time slot.
like it.
Am I being stupid? Glastonbury Torres.
Yeah.
I don't get that.
You can't just have the word Glastonbury. It's the Glastonbury 11.
Glastonbury Pogba.
I thought about Silent Cisco.
Oh, very good.
Like Silent Disco, in case you need an explainer there.
I like that. Which Cisco? Do you mean the one that was at Newcastle?
Yeah, or any Cisco you want.
Cisco
I did think of the one at Newcastle, though,
yeah, he was pretty silent in front of goal, Cisco, as well, I think.
Very quiet.
Now, we're going to bring you some of the biggest transfer stories from talksport.com. Delighted to welcome in Oren Toner from talksport.com. Oren, how you doing?
Yeah, good lad. Yourself?
Yeah, really
Can
good.
I jump in on the Glasgow 11?
Of course you can.
Go
Marcus Raverford.
Oh,
we'll have that. We'll have that.
Yeah.
As I always say, it's always nice to have a Marcus in there.
Yeah, absolutely.
I do like, Raverford, yeah. I was thinking of DJ Campbell as well. That kind of, it's a bit broad, that.
No, that's fine.
Keep them coming in
DJs
anyway.
are welcome.
81089. If you've got any more, Oren, throughout this, maybe at the end, then
I'll
let
keep
me know.
thinking of them.
Now, what have you got for us? Because there's been a lot of talk, I think, today, and we've been chatting about a bit about João Pedro.
Yes, so Brighton have rejected 2 bids today in excess of £50 million from 2 Premier League clubs. One of them we know for a fact is Newcastle United. Eddie Howe has made him the top summer target for the Toon this summer. But Brighton would want in excess close towards £70 million. I'm not sure what you guys think, but I don't know where he'd fit into that Newcastle team.
Yeah, I mean, it is a good point because obviously they play in like a 4-3-3. They don't really have a number 10 position. And we were saying it might be a bit about some tactical flexibility going forward next season. Do you know what I find interesting about what you just said there, though, Oren, is the fact that João Pedro is their top target. The top target.
That struck a chord with me.
That's strange for me because they've got to strengthen that right hand side.
Well,
they've got to.
Previously, it looked like before the summer window that Mbuemo was going to be the one that we were going to look for on the right. Obviously, that's not worked out for them. Maybe they're looking down the list of targets, and they've come across João Pedro, who's obviously very versatile across the front line. I'm not sure if he's going to fit on that right-hand side, though. He's not an out-and-out winger.
Well, I'm not sure he would start, or if he was to start. I don't know how many
spending
games.
£70 million on a squad player. Obviously, going into Champions League next season, they struggled with the squad sizes, but £70 million in this day and age in PSR, with the concerns that Newcastle have had already.
I agree. Do you know what, though? It's tricky for Newcastle, isn't it? Because how do you sell it to a backup striker? Buying a backup striker has got to be the hardest transfer to do, isn't it?
Replacement, maybe?
Oh, come on, Oren.
No, but
we don't deal with rumours on this show.
Do we not? All right, that'll be me then. No, I think though that it's not a backup striker per se. Yes, he could operate as that, but you're saying, come on in, that there will be injuries. We're playing a lot of games. You need some bodies in there.
£70 million.
But it's too much. It's too much from Newcastle's point of view. I think that'd be crazy if they spent that amount of money on him. Yes, if they thought, we've identified him as a guy who's going to start, we're going to change the formation or whatever. Even then, I don't think so, because why would you break up that midfield three who's been so effective?
Oh, it's one of the best in the Premier League.
Totally, yeah. Gordon's a good player. Murphy's had a great season. I understand.
Behind Gordon, you got Barnes.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So left side is not of a particular concern. Isak's one of the best strikers in world football, I think most people would say. So I totally agree with you. I think for what would be a squad player who would get minutes, he would play a bit.
Yeah, of course.
I think that's way too much.
Now, what about Manchester United then, Oren?
Yeah, so they've been linked to a lot of goalkeepers this summer, haven't they? Andre Onana obviously has had a torrid time in net. Emi Martinez has been spoken about quite recently, hasn't he? But he signed a 5-year deal last summer. It might take quite a lot of money for them to be able to get him out of Villa. I don't know if they have the funds to be able to do that without selling first, but he's definitely a target for them.
Yeah, we've already said it's difficult for Manchester United to sell this. I mean, they're already splashing the cash on the front line.
Yeah.
But I mean, if they manage to get Emi Martinez through the door, do you know what as well? That would feel like a real blow to Villa I think, as well.
It would, but I think Villa would be okay. I think they would bounce back. I mean, Martinez is, he's a great character of the game, and he's done really well there. But I don't think Villa would be too flustered by that.
But do you know? But what I mean is like the optics of it. Yes. Do you know what I mean? Because he'd be leaving Villa.
Just missed out on Champions League.
But they've got European football.
Yeah.
And going to Man United. I know it's Manchester United.
Yeah.
But who've just come 15th.
But I think though that if Villa want to sell, or they think, if Man United are going to spend,
it would have to be the right price for them.
Yeah, it would have to be the right price. I think Villa are the ones in control in that situation. And actually, I get the impression that there are a few Villa fans who think, he's done really well for the club, but he is more replaceable than you think. He's been a great player for Villa.
2-time FIFA goalkeeper of the year.
No, absolutely.
Oh, we all remember the celebration after the World Cup.
Yeah, damn right. But I think that yes, he produces great saves and again provides a lot of character and all that kind of stuff.
Of course, a fan favourite as well.
But he is. But I think that. I think he's a little bit more replaceable than one might think at Villa. I'm not saying that they should sell him, though. But if his head was to be turned, which, let's be honest, it would be a step down if he went to Manchester United. That's the crazy thing, So, yeah, I think that I think Villa would be okay. But with Manchester United, they want an experienced goalkeeper, clearly. But I don't know.
You think he could come in and take that shirt, make it his own? Obviously, you would expect Onana would be let go if he did come in. Does he have the personality? Obviously, we know he's got a personality, but does he have the personality to fill that shirt?
I think that I think he could get very angry if he was Manchester United goalkeeper very, very quickly. And I'm not sure they would want an angry Emi Martinez at the club.
Now, and there's another story as well about Harvey Elliott, who's been lighting up the under-21 Euros. We're bringing you that live tomorrow as well, the final between England and Germany. But he's on the radar, I think, of a couple of clubs, including some clubs in Germany.
Yes, so RB Leipzig, I've been looking at him. Obviously, a link to Jurgen Klopp there with his role at Red Bull. But Liverpool would want around £40 million, if not more. You can understand why. But it's going to be hard for Elliott to get back into that team. Wirtz has just come in for a massive fee. So Bosley came in not that long ago for a massive fee in the middle. Obviously, he's very versatile. I'm surprised not more Premier League clubs have come in looking for him. He can play on the right-hand side. Obviously, he's not going to go ahead of Salah. That's just not going to happen. He'd get minutes for Liverpool. But maybe with such an impressive under-21 tournament, he's got two eyes on a place in that Thomas Tuchel squad in 2026.
As he should do.
Yeah. Absolutely. A move to a Champions League club, why couldn't he make it there?
Yeah.
Well, I think that he'll have... Clubs are interested in him. Let's not be silly. Elliott can play in a couple of positions. He can play like as a number 8, like a shuttler in there. And as you say, he can play off the right as well. I would prefer him in midfield. I think he's tenacious. And I think we've seen that.
8.
Yeah, absolutely right. And I think we've seen that in the under-21s. I mean, the way he took both goals, in particular that second one against the Dutch, it's a proper player there. And he knows that as well. He's a confident young man. And he's basically saying to clubs, it's almost a come and get me plea, really, when he's saying, I want more minutes. And look, I'm saying this as a Fulham fan because he left somewhat under a cloud there.
Would you take him back?
Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely. And I wouldn't be surprised if clubs like Fulham and one or two others
he's definitely
are
the quality to start.
Totally, absolutely. Yeah, go back in there and be the main man. It's just a question for him whether he thinks, actually, maybe I could play for a Champions League club, as you say. But I mean, I know there's a few Fulham fans who wouldn't have him back, but I mean, let's be honest,
Yeah, come on.
They're a polite bunch.
They'll be all right.
Exactly.
They'll get over it. Yeah.
I mean, this is the kind of disdain of you didn't offer me the last piece of cake when you just took it kind of thing. These things
hold a grudge for 10 years.
These things can be smoothed over. It's not very Fulhamish to hold a grudge, let me say.
Oren, thanks very much indeed. Thanks for your shout for the Gus 11. What was it? Marcus Raverford?
Marcus Raverford.
It's a bit of a stretch, isn't it?
Not sure it's going to make it on the left wing, but we'll see.
Yeah, it's Friday night. You going out raving tonight?
No, quiet one for me.
Oh, I don't believe that for a second.
Quiet one for him is a heavy one for a lot of people.
Oren Toner there from talksport.com. Now, the reunion of the century is just around the corner. Talking of music, we're giving you a chance to win a pair of Oasis tickets. You might even see Marcus Speller there in Manchester on July the 19th. You heard that right. Oasis Live 25 is sold out, but TalkSport can get you in. That's not all as well. Alongside those tickets, we'll put you up for a night in a hotel. We'll put $5,000 in your back pocket, completely tax-free. Amazing, isn't it? Listen up right now for everything you need to know and how to enter.
Alright, kid. You have to be over 18 to enter in the UK, excluding Northern Ireland. For a chance to win a pair of tickets to the most electrifying rock and roll reunion of the century, a hotel stay and $5,000 spending money, All you got to do is text the word Oasis to 83338 by Monday the 7th of July at 11 p.m. and you'll be entered into the draw to go supersonic this summer. Sorted. Right, here's all the legal stuff. Text costs £2 plus one standard network rate message. You've got to have the bill payer's permission or post your name and number to Oasis Prize Draw, PO Box 3190, Colchester, CO2 8GP, to arrive by 5 p.m. on the 10th of July. This is a talkSPORT limited promotion run on talkSPORT, Talk and Virgin Radio UK stations. Full T's and C's at talksport.com.
Is that the one you're going to, Manchester, by the way? Or?
It's the day after.
Oh, yeah. No way. Oh, so, yeah, you'll see a very fresh-faced Marcus Speller the next day.
We'll be as fresh as me.
Right, up next here on Transfer Insiders, keep those Glasgow 11 texts coming in. We're absolutely loving them on 81089. But up next, we're going to be dipping into the transfer archives. We'll take a trip down memory lane when it comes to the world of transfer. Stick with us if you're listening to Transfer Insiders on talkSPORT.
Brentford have appointed their set-piece coach Keith Andrews as new manager. The former Republic of Ireland #2 has signed a 3-year deal at the G-Tech for his first role as a head coach. Ruud van Nistelrooy says he wishes Leicester well after leaving the club by mutual consent. This season he led the Foxes to a second relegation from the Premier League in 3 seasons. So who's going to take over?
Anyone who understands the fight, understands the city, and understands what the fans actually want. The fans are fantastic. They'll be there every week. As long as they see a bit of fight about them, as long as they see players that are giving 110%, the fans will be there for you, not a problem.
England cricket boss Rob Key says Jofra Archer will play one of the next 2 tests against India after 4 years away from the format because of various injuries. He's been included in the squad for Edgbaston next week, but former world #1 bowler Steve Harmison doesn't believe Archer will play in Birmingham.
I think England have picked him in the squad not to play him at Edgbaston, but possibly to release him on Monday so he doesn't bowl in both innings for Sussex on an absolute shirt front with a ball that's doing absolutely nothing and potentially stand in the field for 200 overs over 4 days. That's what I would do with him. So I think they've picked him great. Get him in the squad. I then release him once the team's announced.
Preparations continue for the Lions opening game on Australian soil when they take on the Western Force in Perth tomorrow. Assistant coach John Fogarty says they just can't wait.
We've had 3 good days training. Everyone wants to get this tour on Australian soil going. So yeah, it's been really, really exciting, you know, for the group that's going to go out there.
And the draw for Wimbledon has been made. Jack Draper will take on Sebastian Baez. He's also in the same half of the draw as Novak Djokovic. Emma Raducanu, meanwhile, plays British teenage wildcard Mimi Xu.
Really, really tough draw. I fully expected to have no problems playing the British youngster first match, but the likelihood she will play Vondrousova second round. Now, Vondrousova, as we know, won Wimbledon a couple of years ago, and she's been injured recently, but did win a big tournament a couple of weeks ago in Berlin. So maybe Vondrousova might be, you know, in a prime position to have a good run the next couple of weeks.
There's more at talkSPORT.com.
Good evening, this is Transfer Insiders on talkSPORT. I'm Olly Clink. I'm alongside the Football Rambles Marcus Speller. Marcus, we've been called idiots on the text.
Just the once?
Yeah, it's not for the first time tonight.
Yep.
Vas, because I was saying, what, Glastonbury Torres? We just didn't get it.
For the Glastonbury 11.
Yeah, for the Glastonbury 11. On the text, some of the shouts have been amazing tonight. It's Glastonbury Tour Res.
Ah, yes.
To be fair, Pete, who initially sent the text, sent a lovely message saying,
did he?
Little explainer.
Yeah.
It's Glastonbury Tour. He put a smiley face at the end of the text.
Oh, that's
Pete.
nice. That's
Thanks,
nice.
Pete. Vas was wasn't as happy. You idiots! It's history. Fair enough, Vas.
You fools.
You fools.
All right.
Yeah. So keep them coming in. We had Jamie Cure return for the Glastonbury 11. The Cure.
Yeah, I like that.
I like that from
Good
Richard.
one.
Yeah,
Yeah,
nice
solid
one.
stuff.
Very, very good. I do like the infrastructure ones though. If you can think of any more of those.
Yeah.
I really do like those ones. I can see your brain whirring. Marcus, I really can.
Yeah.
Now, we wanted to have a bit of fun and delve into the transfer archives.
Here we go.
And talk about our favourite transfer for our club and the worst transfer we have ever seen for our club. I'm a Newcastle fan, hence the thick Geordie accent, and you're a Fulham fan.
Yeah.
Now, I will start with my favourite transfer.
You'll open the bidding.
I'm open the bidding. And I feel like you have to make some special mentions, don't you, as well? And also, by the way, I mean, obviously, please call in with some of yours as well, 03717 22 You've got to give some special shout-outs to some obviously brilliant players. You know, you can't ignore Alexander Isak and Sandro Tonali. I mean, I'm going quite recent for obvious reasons.
But they were bought in the hope that they were going to be really massive signings.
Absolutely.
It's the more the ones we think, I've taken a punt on him. I tell you what, he's become a club hero or something like that.
And you're absolutely right.
Go on then,
because I am going for Joel Linton.
Lovely one.
It has to be Joel Linton for me, because when he was brought in, it was 40 million. It was a club record fee, and I think people maybe forget that because he was obviously there at the time when the club were taken over. And honestly, he was played up front by Steve Bruce. He was actually a left winger, but he was given the number 9 shirt, which is, it's a huge thing. Obviously,
so huge things were expected of him.
Yes,
and it didn't work out.
No, not.
But then full circle, now he's a club legend.
Yeah, I mean, to the extent though it not working out that he was a laughing stock.
Yeah,
seriously, and
it's almost like a byword. Yeah, like lads playing on football pitches around the land and lasses as well, just thinking, you like Joel, you finish like Joel. It was that kind of thing, wasn't it?
Absolutely, and for all intents and purposes, his time at the club was basically finished. Even when Eddie Howe came in, I would be amazed there wasn't Newcastle fans there going like, right, when the summer maybe comes along or January, cut your losses and maybe get rid. Then a magical thing happened. We played Norwich and Kieran Clark got sent off, and it was a huge game as well, right down the bottom of the table, a huge game. And Kieran Clark got sent off, and Eddie Howe just decided, he was like, right, what am I going to do? He pulled Joel Linton back, put him in midfield, and a monster was born.
That's right.
Absolutely amazing. And he was brilliant in that game, but then they played Manchester United, and he honestly played them off the park. And it was just this change in a player that I've never seen a player like that go from, absolute nothing, let's get rid of him, to a complete turnaround where, and this is why it's my favourite transfer specifically, is that he was bought for 40 million. I think you could easily sell him for more than that now. Easily sell him for more than that now. Yeah. And I just think that is
But it'd be a crying shame. They're never going to sell him.
No, of course not. They can't sell him. Please don't do that. I'm not suggesting
No,
that.
but you're right. But that's where he sits now.
But also just such a unique player in some aspects as well, John Linton. He just adds so much athleticism in the centre of the park. He's an absolute beast on the pitch. And actually, what I loved as well was when he did start coming through in that season where they were trying to stay up under Eddie Howe. So many of his teammates, I remember in particular Sean Longstaff coming out and saying everyone has underrated this man. Everyone wants him on their team in training. He is such a good footballer, you're just yet to see it.
Yes.
And now he's proved that in absolute spades. I'd even say the little dip that Newcastle had at the end of the season was because Joel Linton was out of the side. And people talk about that midfield three, and Tonali and Guimaraes, of course, are excellent, especially the impact that Tonali had last season. But Joel Linton's an essential part of that middle three for me, and I just love him.
It's a tough midfield, but it's a cultured midfield as well. And as you say, he's a part of it, and he totally gets the football and culture up there.
Oh yeah,
and it's wonderful. So much has been made. I won't bore everybody. We all know what the fan base is about up there and the city itself, and blah 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 blah. He gets it, and he is now part of the furniture there, and it's wonderful to see.
Yeah. What about you then? You're a Fulham fan. Who's your favourite transfer? This is the thing. It doesn't necessarily have to be the best player.
Yes.
Do you know what I mean? It has to be that one that you just think back on and you're just like, yes. It almost like warms your heart a bit.
Yeah,
to think of that transfer and that player.
Well, I'm gonna the player I have to say that I immediately think of, and he's still at the club, and people thought he was going to leave this summer, but Tom Kearney going from Blackburn Rovers to Fulham. He's been at Fulham for 10 years now, and he is such a fan favourite. Absolute wand of a left foot. Such a cultured left peg. And, I promise you, right, if you really want to have a great Friday evening, and you probably are listening to this around this fair island of ours and beyond.
They're having a rubbish time at actual Glastonbury.
Yeah, exactly. They're missing out on this. Just Google or YouTube Tom Kearney's best goals. And it's an absolute treat. It's a proper highlight reel that is very, very impressive. I've seen him score so many great goals for Fulham over the years. Such a lovely player. I mean, when he peaked Tom Kearney was him playing in that number 10 role. Yeah, in the Championship, okay, really. But just the way he kind of strode around the pitch and dictated things. But what's been really nice is he has somewhat made the step up to the Premier League. He was used a lot as a substitute last season, and he scored an equaliser against Spurs, for example. He's chipped in here and there. But just a proper club man, a beautiful boy as well. But just embodied everything that Fulham fans that love about him, and just again such a creative and lovely player to watch.
A genuine question: do you think that he has actually been a bit underused by Marco Silva, because he's such a good impact player as well?
Yeah,
covering Fulham a fair amount for talkSPORT. There's times where I'm there going, this needs Tom Kearney, this game.
Oh, yeah, get him on after an hour.
Yeah.
No, but it is the case. I know that due to his media work, people have become more aware of Tom Kearney, perhaps in the season just gone outside of Fulham, because, Fulham aren't the biggest club in the land and he's not often starting games. But he is, honestly, such a cultured player. He through, I think his parents, he elected to play for Scotland because it was probably unlikely he was ever going to play for England. I think he only got 2 Scotland caps, and I remember thinking, flipping heck, lads, some of the drab Scotland teams of recent years, I know they've qualified for tournaments, they could have done with a player like that. Definitely. I honestly think. So I absolutely adore the man. I really do, and it's just one of those players who, just so many fans of the club love him. You have that player who I would take a punch for him.
Punch or two.
It seems unlikely that would happen at Craven Cottage, I grant you. So I'm on safe ground there. Please don't hold me to that, anybody.
How'd you get that black eye, Marcus? Took a punch for Tom Kearney.
Tom Kearney's fault. He's actually more Larry than I realised.
Brilliant stuff. I love that though. But I think you've
nailed misty-eyed talking about Tom Kearney.
Yeah. But you've nailed the brief there, I think, as well, Marcus. In terms of it's almost like a transfer for a cult hero at your club too.
Such great longevity as well.
Just quickly as well, he was linked with the move away. He's linked with
Wrexham was one, yeah.
I think. Would that be damaging for Fulham if he were to leave? Do you think?
I think.
Is it time to go?
Some people may think that. I still think, and so did Marco Silva, think you could get another year out of him. I think just having him around the place, he's a great club man and so on, but still provide something, because again, with the talent he's got in those feet, in particular the left one, he can still pick those passes and take those shots when he's 55 years old. But clearly the Premier League, the cut and thrust of the Premier League, they've gone for a bit more industry in that centre of midfield, and it's worked for Fulham. They're now an established mid-table side, which is no mean feat, by the way.
Yeah.
There's so many fans of bigger clubs who say, mid-table obscurity. Being the sort of, say, the 10th, 11th, 12th best team in England is really no mean feat. I know that sounds... There's people listening to this. You're down in the... Tons of fans in the Championship and all the rest of it. They bite your arm off for mid-table so-called obscurity in the Premier League. So...
and you get to watch the games from a swimming pool, which is amazing.
In time. I've never had the pleasure yet, but surely it's only a maritime.
Oh, brilliant.
You can't see the pitch from the pool.
Why?
Unless you're Peter Crouch.
Oh, okay, fair enough. There's a joke about diving in there somewhere, isn't there? But I can't be bothered to make it.
Yeah, please don't. Yeah.
03717 22 33 44. Your favourite transfer for your club, and it doesn't necessarily have to be the best player that ever joined your club, but just the one where you look back and you think, great bit of business. And what a player that player was for my club. In just a moment, we're gonna talk about the flip side. We'll talk about some of the worst transfers for our own clubs, but also debate maybe the worst transfers of all time in the Premier League. So looking forward to that. Give us a call though, 03717 223344. The Glasgow 11 texts are rolling in as well. So we'll read some of those out after the break. There are some belters in there. Tony hasn't been in touch for a while. With some of his.
He's taken a well-earned break.
Yeah, he has. No, I think it's thinking time for Tone. Yeah, he's had some good ones. I think still the best shout we've had so far was Jose Latrinio.
Nice.
Very inventive.
Yes.
Very, very good. We've had some more though. Another one on Rob Green, which I like. This is from Kev. Rob Green Piece.
Nice. Yeah, that's a good one.
General vibe of Glasto there.
Yes.
Damien, the Leeds fan, says Gastonberry Ramirez.
I'll take it.
I like that.
I do as well.
Yeah, clever. We've also had Guns and Gomez.
Yeah, that'll do. I mean, I have a David Duns and Roses I went for earlier.
Yeah. Duns and Roses. Thing is, you can't just then not imagine David Dunn at the front of...
Take me down to the... yeah, exactly, yeah.
Oh, my word. Brilliant stuff. Keep those coming in on 81089, your Glastonbury 11. Now, we've been dipping into those transfer archives. We've just talked about our favourite transfer for our club. Should we talk about the worst transfers ever? We'll have a bit of a laugh with this.
Yes, we don't have to keep it club specific.
We don't have to
because Fulham always get it right in the transfer market. Yeah,
and you don't hold any grudges as well.
Absolutely right. Yeah. He did his best. He tried hard. That guy. Yeah,
everyone gets a light applause, even at the end of their Fulham career.
Yeah.
But I mean, who would you go for then if it's not even related to Fulham? If we were talking about the worst transfers of all time,
I think on a technicality, I think you have to go for David Unsworth from West Ham to Aston Villa. He was there for about a month and didn't kick a ball. It was ridiculous. He left Everton to go to West Ham, and his family apparently didn't really settle in London. Fair enough. He was at West Ham for a season, and he wanted to get back nearer to Merseyside. So Aston Villa said, well, we're a bit near, aren't we? Goes there. Family were like, no, I'm not having this. And after a month, he was like, yeah. And it was during the summer, he was like, yeah, I just... and Everton went, all right, come on then. Let's be honest, you're not going to kick a ball, are you? And they paid the $3 million that Villa had signed him for West Ham, and everyone said, yeah, it's just well, get him back to Everton. He's just Everton through and through. So Unsworth from West Ham to Villa, because he did not play a single game. He's there for about a month. And was just like,
I love that it's just dictated by his family as well. They're just there going, no, we don't fancy this.
Yeah.
Like, come on.
Family are important consideration.
Of course they are. But I'm just imagining. I'm imagining them being like, what about Ibiza FC? David, do you fancy that? Or?
Yeah, if we're going to leave Liverpool, I want it to be something a bit more spectacular. So it seems a bit harsh because he was a fine player, of course, but just the absurdity of it.
I mean, it's funny you talk about not kicking a ball, because the one that I had 3 lined up for Newcastle, because I've got to give some special mentions because some of our business was just so funny. I mean, now you can look back and laugh on some of the Ashley era. Obviously, it wound a lot of people up at the same time, including me. But Facundo Ferreira, who joined and literally didn't kick a ball. He came on loan and he literally did an interview and went, the Premier League's quite physical, isn't it? And then never got in the team.
I don't fancy this.
And then Saidou Doumbé, who signed, and I remember it so well, he signed, and everyone was like, but his rating on FIFA for pace is so high. So, like, we've signed a player here, like a proper player.
FIFA signing.
Yeah, played 20 minutes. 20 minutes overall. So, I mean, do you reckon you can get it? It'd actually be a collector's item to get a Doumbia match-worn shirt, because he'll have only worn it for about 20 minutes.
That would be, wouldn't it?
Not a bead of sweat on it.
It's somewhere, isn't it?
Someone's got that.
He should put that up for auction.
He should.
Because, as you say, proper collector's item.
What, you get 20 quid? Or?
I don't know. I think it's one for serious Newcastle United fans. I think you can have a bidding war for that.
Definitely. The one that frustrated me, I think, the most, though, was Florian Thauvin.
Oh yeah, I remember. Yeah,
and it was funny with Newcastle because they had Hatem Ben Arfa, who would have been right up there, by the way, with one of my favourite transfers ever. Oh my word, just the impact that he had. A proper
mythical Ben Arfa.
Yeah, exactly. Just such a good player. And then you remember that they were in the French market for a long time, and in a way they kept on trying to find the next Ben Arfa.
Yeah.
And they brought in Remy Cabella. He was all right. He wasn't that great. And then they brought in Thauvin, and people were really excited about this.
Yeah, I remember the buzz, yeah.
He was dreadful. So bad. So bad. Just didn't want to be there. I think on the second week of the season, they all turned up in, like, tuxedos as well and stuff.
Yeah.
And, like, it was quite funny, because I think Chancellor Mbemba wore a tuxedo and everyone was laughing about it. And then he kept turning up in the tuxedo.
Yeah, it's like, no, this is not club uniform, mate.
There was one point on Match of the Day, Alan Shearer went, it's not funny anymore. And then he was just dreadful. And then the most annoying thing was he then went back to France and was amazing.
Yeah, that happens, doesn't it?
Like absolutely amazing. Like won like Ligue 1 Player of the Season and things like that. And you're just there going like, where were you for us?
Yeah, but if you're
sometimes it doesn't work though, does it?
True, but if you're talking about worst signings who, they've been signed by a big Premier League side for a reason, don't really do much, and then go elsewhere and have the time of their lives. Aren't we seeing that with a lot of Man United or for Man United? I mean, Anthony signed by Ajax, still can't believe their luck over how much they got for him. Goes in there under Ten Hag. Okay, I mean, he did that little twirly thing with the ball, which was quite nice. I think he scored a nice goal against Man City.
He scored a couple against Newport, didn't he? I think.
And
cupped his ears to an empty crowd or something.
He cupped his ears to Coventry City in the semi-final of the FA Cup. Because he's a really big man. But so he's a bit of a silly sausage, to put it mildly. But then at Real Betis, they were like, the club legend Joaquin was like, we need to have a petition to sign to keep this guy here. They are pleading with Man United. They said, look, we'll pay this amount of money. Can you just... We want him to stay. He wants to stay. You don't want him there. Come on. He's already like this sort of cult hero status at Real Betis. It's incredible. But yet for Man United, which,
Is he the worst ever? In terms of fee, in terms of what he's brought to a club?
Well, they've had some... There was a period where they signed a few players... and it just didn't work out. I mean, one that leaps to mind, I can't remember what the fee was, and it wouldn't be in the same kind of, stratosphere what you're talking about here. But some Man Uniteds will remember Massimo Taibi, the goalkeeper. And it's a shame for him because his, Premier League highlight reel is a long-range shot from, I forget which Southampton player it was, and it just squirms through his legs. And that was it, really.
And that was it.
Funnily enough, Ferguson wasn't having any of that. And off he went. He didn't stick around. Dear. But, of course, mentioning Southampton, the legendary, under Graham Souness, what was his name? Ali Dyer. Ali Dyer.
He blagged his way on the pitch.
What was it like? I'm George Weah's cousin. All right, you'll do. Yeah. Oh, they were airtight, weren't they? The scouts back in those days. Flipping heck, is that all it took?
Yeah, I know.
Imagine what you could have done if it was that easy to get on a Premier League pitch. Premier League pitch. He came on.
Amazing.
So I think they knew though straight away. They were like, he's absolutely.
We've been done here. Yeah.
Bebe, another one for Man United. Poor old Bebe.
Oh no. Oh, that's a good shout actually.
That was
03717223344. Ian, you're an Everton fan. Have you got a favourite transfer or worst transfer for us?
I've got a worst transfer. I'm an Everton fan from Loughborough.
Okay. Who's your worst transfer?
A lad that Everton signed him from Blackburn Rovers called Glenn Keeley. He played one game. He got sent off in the Merseyside derby. and they never saw him again.
That was it. That's what a record that
is. He walked off the pitch. See you later, pal.
Do you think he was a Liverpool fan, Ian?
I don't know, but Everton lost the Merseyside derby 5-0, and he made his debut at Goodison Park, and he got sent off. He got sent off, and he never played for Everton again.
Oh my word! Ian, who's your favourite transfer for Everton?
Who's my favourite transfer?
He's on the spot now, Ian.
He's
on the spot.
Of course, what about getting David Unsworth back?
Seamus Coleman.
Oh, yeah, that's a good shout. That's a good shout.
Great value as well.
Absolutely right.
Yeah, he signed for pennies, wasn't he?
It cost 60,000 from the Irish League.
Wow.
That is incredible.
Yeah.
Superb. Yeah.
Ian, brilliant shouts. Thank you, mate. Keep the calls coming in. 03717 223344. That's incredible.
You can't argue with that.
One game, red card, Merseyside derby. That's it, son.
See you later. Yeah, he made his mark. But Seamus Coleman, what a signing.
Oh, yeah.
The longevity that he's had at that club is stunning.
Yeah, incredible. What a servant. Don't go anywhere. We're going to be taking your calls on the transfer archives. Give us a call. 03717 223344. This is the Transfer Insiders with me, Olly Clink, and Marcus Speller.
This is the Transfer Insiders on talkSPORT. I'm Olly Clink. How are you doing? Alongside me is the Football Rambles' Marcus Speller. This is your whistle-stop tour of the biggest transfer news of the day. So let's get straight to talkSPORT's transfer reporter, Ben Jacobs. He's got all the latest when it comes to the big money moves and gave us an update on Arsenal's search for a left winger. It's safe to say there's some huge names being linked with a move to the Emirates. I want to ask you about Arsenal as well, Ben, because there have been some links with Eberechi Eze. How high on their list would you say he is?
I think he's feasible, which might mean that he gains prominence. So there's three names at the moment that Arsenal are really looking at on that left-hand side. Eze, who can be more versatile, of course, and play as an attacking midfielder. Then Rodrigo, the kind of dream target. Real might sell for 90 million euros, but the player's not decided yet whether he wants to leave. And Anthony Gordon, who is the perfect profile and liked by Liverpool as well. But it remains to be seen whether Newcastle will entertain any kind of Gordon exit.
Some interesting names then linked. Let's start with Eberechi Eze. I think this is a bit of an interesting one because... Good player, very good player, of course. Like scored the winner in the FA Cup final last time out. He's been very, very good for Crystal Palace. Albeit, to be fair, was a bit inconsistent at the start of last season and only had a couple of goals for a lot of the start of that campaign. But I feel like he grew as Palace grew throughout that season. But in terms of the fit for Arsenal, that's what I want to ask you about because, of course, we know he can play in that number 10 role very, very well. Arsenal have Odegaard in that position. He can also play out on the left-hand side, which is an area that they are looking to strengthen. And it feels like an Arteta kind of signing, doesn't it? In the sense that, you know, he's a player that can play in a lot of different positions. But do you think Arsenal would actually be better suited for going for an all-out left winger and maybe more of a runner on that left-hand side?
Possibly. I get the thinking behind that totally. The way they play, Odegaard is so key to the way Arsenal play. So you want him threading the balls through and pulling the strings. But that does put all your eggs in the Odegaard basket. And if he's not on form or he's injured or something like that, you know, you do have to have another plan up your sleeve. Eberechi is a brilliant player, as you say, and I think that he could make the step up to Arsenal and Champions League football and all the rest of it. Arsenal, I mean, I tend to think of Arsenal as playing like very distinctive sort of wingers, if you like. But he could, again, mix it up. You might find that Eze would drift inside and actually become like... You could play with two number 10s almost. With Miles Lewis-Skelly behind you, he's got the engine, he's got the ability. I know sometimes he steps into midfield, but he could also press right up and almost kind of play as a de facto wing-back as well. So you could have that going on at Arsenal. So I think Eze would be a decent signing. But, I mean, as Ben Jacobs was saying, Rodrigo would be the dream signing. But Anthony Gordon as well, I get that as well. I think that he is one who likes to get on the end of little, you know, those little passes that Odegaard looks for as he goes forward. He's got a bit of quality, he's got a bit of pace as well, and so on and so forth. He would definitely strengthen them as well. So an interesting array of players that they're being linked to there. But as Ben said, Rodrigo would be the dream signing.
It'd be a needle mover, wouldn't it? I think if they did get Rodrigo. But it's interesting, you know, when you talk about Gordon, as a Newcastle fan, I hope he stays put. And you know, but I've seen, you know, just how brilliant he can be. But when you compare him to Eze, he kind of fits Arsenal, I think, a bit more in terms of his style, like you've just said, where he's running to the byline and getting balls in, and he's pressing well. Whereas Eze, look, exactly, it might be that Arteta does want to, you know, change it up a bit tactically. If they do splash the cash on Rodrigo and do manage to get him over the line, what does it do to that conversation about strikers, which we will get onto in just a moment too, because we will have an update from Tom Canton from football.london. But if they manage to get Rodrigo over the line, you know, for instance, they were linked with Ollie Watkins, weren't they, in the last January window? One, But could Arsenal actually splash their money and make the needle mover signing Rodrigo, and then maybe not have to bring in necessarily a Sesko or a Gyökeres? Maybe they can bring in someone like a Watkins, who is, by the way, a very proven Premier League player. It's just that you might look at that age side of things and go, well, you know, a Sesko, of course, you're getting a bit more potential, and maybe potentially a more talented striker.
Yeah, well, Watkins, we know, can do it in the Premier League, as you say, with Sesko and Gyökeres, perhaps not. Well, we don't know, do we? Because you know, I know Gyökeres has played here a little bit, but I think that if they signed Watkins, it would have to be for quite a high fee, and I think again for the age profile, people would sort of go, you're looking to sign, and you're saying, right, here and now, this is the piece of the puzzle that's missing for a real proper challenge at the Premier League title. I don't know if that would excite the Arsenal fans as much as Gyökeres and Sesko.
Even if they got Rodrigo, though, alongside.
Rodrigo, I think, would certainly be a signing that would give you the wow factor, wouldn't it? I think Watkins would definitely improve him. There's no doubt about that. But he's not been linked this window. It's an odd one, wasn't it, really, when they made that, was it about £60 million bid in January? Sesko and Gyökeres are the ones that they're really, really looking at, and again, people will have their say. You get either one of them, it's an upgrade. Gyökeres to me is more of your sort of classic number 9. I know that position has evolved, of course, but to me, he's just your out and out goal scorer. Sesko, there's been a few comparisons with Erling Haaland's sort of style of play and the way he kind of moves and so on, but he does add a little bit more to the style of play, more sort of, you might call a modern kind of centre forward as well. Gyökeres to me seems to be more of the finished article than Sesko. Sesko, you would use the word potential a bit more, even though Gyökeres, his best football has been in the Portuguese league. I think with Arsenal, they have to do something. And I think they have to get it done fairly early on. I don't think you can start leaving it to, there's a week to go in the season. I think Arsenal fans are thinking, right, you've seen Liverpool, they've got Wirtz in, such a statement. You've seen what Man City are doing. You look around the league and even other sides who I don't think will be challenged for the Premier League title, but big clubs as well. The likes of Newcastle are trying to get their ducks in a row and get some business done. Even Tottenham, they're North London rivals. They've got the new manager in. They're looking at things.
Manchester United as well.
Exactly, yeah. Arsenal have got Zubamendi in, and that's a good signing. That's a really, really good signing, and I think that they'll be excited to see him there. There's one or two names. Norgard has just gone, and I think that's a solid signing as well. I don't understand he's 31 and so on, but I think he's a good squad player as well. Get that centre forward, guys. Don't let that rumble on and on and on.
Yeah, it's the PR perspective of this, isn't it?
It is, yes.
Because Liverpool have done that business, Man City have done that business.
Yep. Not messing around, get it done.
Exactly. And actually with Arsenal, if those Norgard and Kepa signings had happened at the end of the window and they'd already got the strikers in, I think there'd be a bit more of a positive reaction to it and go, okay, I understand that. But at the moment, it's like, oh, great. But Norgard in. Come on, we need to get this moving, need to get over the line. In terms of that search for a number 9, here's Football London's chief Arsenal football correspondent, Tom Canton, shedding a bit of light on Benjamin Sesko's future and his potential move to Arsenal.
So my understanding that the kind of the personal terms, so I think with Sesko's maybe a little bit of bluster. I think, in fact, if Arsenal managed to agree a fee with Leipzig, I think he'd be more than happy to make that switch to Arsenal. It would be a step up for him in his career. Would be making that move to the Premier League that so many players covet. But it is that club-to-club side of things that we assume and know, and for the indications that we're getting, is causing kind of the stumbling blocks, if you will, with the bid. And I think that's why Arsenal are very much keeping their options open and are speaking to other centre-forwards, including Victor Gyökeres, of course, as well, from Sporting, who, from the sounds of it, is turning down pretty much everything else and pining for this move, for Arsenal. And it's a strange one, isn't it? Because you've got a player who's clearly the preference in Sesko, but you've got another very, very comfortably, in terms of goal scoring, a striker in Gyökeres, and clearly very keen on the move. But also there seems to be some issues in terms of a fee potentially with Sporting. So Arsenal are in a strange situation where they've got strikers wanting to join them, and they're still kind of struggling in terms of the fee side of things, because they don't want to overpay, as we've come to learn from Arsenal is a common thing.
With what Tom's saying there, it feels like both those options are on the table for Arsenal. Who do you think they should go for?
I think that it's a difficult one because, again, different type of player, and I think that they would both improve Arsenal and do well there. I actually lean more towards Gyökeres because I think that Arsenal, if you look at them, Arsenal gave a good account of themselves in a semi-final of the Champions League against PSG, who, again, not many would argue the fact that they're the best team in Europe right now. I understand people say, but PSG were the better side. Actually, if you watch that game again, Arsenal gave a good account of themselves. And they had a guy who'd never played up front before until months earlier in that game. get someone up there who's wanting to finish the moves. I know being a number 9 and a striker is more about that. You can't just be the poacher anymore, unless you're Erling Haaland and Man City, crying out loud. And I think with Gyökeres, you've got the guy. He's like a shark. He's just sniffing out that chance. And I think he's more the finished article than Sesko. I think Sesko, it's more about potential. Could go on to be a better player than, say, Gyökeres. He's the one for me. I get that people will say, come on, he's only really done it in the Portuguese league. And that's fair. It's always a gamble with these signings. But you look around, strikers are at a premium these days. They have been for a little while. Nobody seems to be interested in Victor Osimhen, who, to me, I'm quite surprised about that. But, there'll be reasons for that. But to me, Gyökeres, that would be the signing. I'm not, speaking as a Fulham fan, I would be very excited on behalf of Arsenal fans if they got him in, because again, he will get chances. You've got the players that are going to put the ball on a plate to him, and I think he's the man to finish him off.
Just a very quick one, going back to the links with Eberechi Eze.
Yes.
Right? If they did get Eze through the door, what does that mean for Kai Havertz? Especially if they also sign a striker. Seriously, what does that mean for Havertz? Because then you think, well, he's not going to be starting in that number 9 role, or at least if he is, it'll be every now and then.
Yes.
He won't be starting at number 10, and there might be a queue of Odegaard, then Eze, then Havertz. In the midfield, they seem pretty stacked, especially with the signing of Norgard. So what kind of happens to Kai Havertz if that comes through?
And that is a good question. I mean, he may well find himself up for sale, or he may well be thinking to himself, if they do get some of these signings done, and it does happen. But that's just the nature of football, isn't it? The changing sands of it all and so on. I mean, with Kai Havertz, I think he has put a good shift in for us. I know he was injured a lot. And it's crazy to think that there's a guy who made the difference in a Champions League final once, lest we forget. So he's had big moments, but I don't think he is the player who's going to get 20, 25 goals a season and really push Arsenal on. Again, he was a part of an Arsenal side who went very, very close and pushed a great Man City side all the way. But I think Havertz would be probably reduced to more of a squad player if that was the case. But with Arsenal, if you want to be firing on all cylinders, he'll get game time. But I don't think he would be a starter if they got some of these deals done.
Okay, we're going to remind you one more time, the reunion of the century is just around the corner, and we're giving you a chance to win a pair of Oasis tickets in Manchester on July the 19th. You heard that right, Oasis Live 25 is sold out. Even Marcus Speller is going to be there as well. But don't worry, talkSPORT can get you in, and that's not all. Alongside the tickets, we'll put you up for a night in a hotel, put $5,000 in your back pocket, completely tax-free. Listen up right now for everything you need to know and how to enter.
Alright, kid, you have to be over 18 to enter in the UK, excluding Northern Ireland. For a chance to win a pair of tickets to the most electrifying rock and roll reunion of the century, a hotel stay and $5,000 spending money, all you got to do is text the word Oasis to 83338 by Monday the 7th of July at 11 p.m. and you'll be entered into the draw to go supersonic this summer. Sorted. Right, here's all the legal stuff. Text costs £2 plus one standard network rate message. You've got to have the bill payer's permission or post your name and number to Oasis Prize Draw, PO Box 3190, Colchester, CO2 8GP, to arrive by 5 p.m. on the 10th of July. This is a talkSPORT limited promotion run on talkSPORT, Talk and Virgin Radio UK stations. Full T's and C's at talksport.com.
This is Transfer Insiders on talkSPORT with me, Olly Clink, alongside Marcus Speller. We're going to be chatting about Manchester United next.
This is the Transfer Insiders on talkSPORT. I'm Olly Clink. Alongside me is the Football Ramble's Marcus Speller. This is your whistle-stop tour of the biggest transfer news of the day. Marcus, I want to chat about Manchester United.
Go on.
I feel like they've done some good business here because Cunha's come in from Wolves. It looks like Brian Mbeumo is on the way. That could be potentially completed very, very soon. And actually, we know that after those two signings, their attention will turn to getting a new number 9 too. That'll be the priority. So it could be a new look front three and a very dangerous looking front three next season for Manchester United. The question I've got for you though is, and I do obviously think that a number 9 is really, really important because I think it's Rasmus Højlund really struggled last season, and maybe you could include the season before that as well. So it is a key position. But I'm just thinking, because they've already strengthened in attack, they've got so many areas to address. Yes. Could there be another area on the pitch that they could prioritise, do you think?
Yeah, there's been chat about the goalkeeper, isn't there? Considering the money they spent on him and the profile of goalkeeper he was coming into the club. I mean, played in the Champions League final with Inter and all that kind of stuff. It seems crazy, but he's not performed very well. But very few of them have. And I think with Manchester United, it's trying to work out who can step up this into the season come August. Who can shake off of what happened last season? Whose confidence can be built back up again and get the performances? Can Andre Onana do that? I don't think many people will think he can. Clearly there's a player in there, again because of what he did before. But I do think a decent backup keeper at least. You get someone who's maybe, even if because money is a problem, right? With Manchester United, that's painfully clear. And I think the way Sir Jim Ratcliffe has operated has been pretty Machiavellian at times, quite frankly, and I feel terribly sorry for so many people connected to that club. But money is an issue, there's no doubt about that. And so why not then get a goalkeeper who you can, maybe in the twilight of his career, early 30s, mid 30s, that kind of thing, a decent name, you get him for say 7 or 8 million, just to say, look, you'll probably get some minutes, but you'll be a backup. Because if Onana then does have a mare next season, you kind of go, right, well, we got this guy and he can go in and he's a proper goalkeeper. So that could be an area where they would look to strengthen. I think back line as well. I mean, it's really a lot of places over the pitch, but when you talk about that front line, that was the area for me. You can talk about the sloppiness at the back and so on, but a good coach can kind of tighten that up, I feel. Putting the ball in the back of the net is the hardest thing to do in football. So therefore, you need players who can do it. And Højlund hasn't done it in the Premier League. He's still a young man. I feel very sorry for him with what's going on. But the fact is, all the sorry and all the nice feelings that one can have towards him, you've got to score if you're playing for Manchester United. You've got to get going. And I think Cunha is a good signing, a really good signing. I think if they can get Mbeumo over the line as well, that is a incredibly good signing, because we know the quality he has. To reconstruct that whole front line is very, very exciting for Manchester United fans.
With decent Premier League proven players as well, and actually
good signings who can produce moments as well. Cunha can pull it out of a bag, or the bag, should I say, and stick it in the onion bag, because he's got that quality. He really is. I think, oddly, I actually think the kind of the wow moments that he can produce are slightly underrated. I think people know he's a good player, but really just suddenly producing a 25-yarder or taking the ball down and beating a man and slotting home, he's got all of that. And I think with Manchester United, I don't think they're going to improve enormously next season. Surely there will be an improvement just on the signings alone. But he is that guy who, if you need something, it's not going your way, the chips are down, there's not much going on, bang, he produces a moment of quality.
Well, on that as well, actually.
And Mbeumo as well.
Yeah. How important is it for Ruben Amorim to start well next season? I just feel like, given the huge, let's be honest, grace period he had last season. I mean, let's not forget, when was Ten Hag sacked? I think November time.
Yeah,
it was he has been in charge for a fair amount of time now at Manchester United,
and they've regressed.
And they haven't just not improved; they have regressed.
Results-wise, they've regressed. Yeah,
and also now he's getting players in the door that work in his system. That was his main gripe, wasn't it? It was like, these players they don't really work for me.
Some of the quotes he said.
Worst team in history. And he's on misery guts.
I mean, Gyökeres is apparently interested in going to Manchester United. We're not sure if it's Arsenal, Manchester United. We shall see. When they're doing the negotiation with Gyökeres, don't have Amorim in the room. You know, just you had a good time with him. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. What's the current state of play? We're the worst team in Man United's history. Ruben, seriously, we want to get this guy on board.
Ruben.
Crying out loud. Go and watch the Club World Cup. You know, so I think that if they could get him in as well, I mean, as you know, talking him up for Arsenal.
I mean, that is a lightning front three, isn't it? If they do, I know obviously, it's Arsenal who, as we've been talking about, are the kind of, you know, I would say arguably the front runners in that race to maybe get Gyökeres, but they are still weighing up Sesko, so you never really know.
Arsenal and Man United are the ones who seem to be most interested in him.
But Cunha and Mbeumo and Gyökeres is
it's decent. There's no two ways about it.
On paper, is a very good front
three. It's decent because.
Just quickly, what have you made of? There were some people kind of looking at those Mbeumo and Cunha transfers and going, "Come on, it's Manchester United." You know, they're used to going out and getting, you know, the absolute best players. You know, going out and breaking the bank for the best players across the continent and in the Premier League as well. And now they're going, "Oh, we're getting Cunha from Wolves and Mbeumo from Brentford." Do you think that's looking on it? To use a term that Rory Jennings, my good friend, would use, it all a bit sneery. Do you know what I mean?
It is a bit sneery. I mean, football changes. That's the thing. Football. You know, I mean, Blackburn Rovers fans won't sort of say, "Well, hang on a minute, it wasn't that long ago when we won the Premier League." You know, what we should be saying. You know, football changes. Manchester United, what did they finish 15th in the Premier League last season? Didn't win a trophy. They got beaten by Spurs in the Europa League final. They've not got European football. Well, you're not going to go out and sign the best players in the world. What you going? They're not going to get Rodrigo from Real Madrid for crying out loud.
There were clubs, you know, even like Newcastle, who would have had Mbeumo as one of their top targets instead. And whether it's to do with wages, whether it's to do with the lure of Manchester United, he's chosen them over a club in the Champions League.
It might be a stunningly good signing for Manchester United. He is a quality player. Brentford have done well to keep him as long as they have, quite frankly. Manchester United, though, still have a bit of pulling power. They're one of the biggest clubs in the world still, on reputation and all the rest of it. But don't look too closely at how they're doing if you're not sure and you're coming from abroad, you know. But everybody knows that they've fallen on hard times. You know, again, money-wise, it's all over the place. The vibe at the club, as I say, you know, the results and the performances and the way it's gone have done that, but so Sir Jim Ratcliffe, the way he's gone in there and the way he's acted, you know, so everyone is really, I mean, there's a blooming leak in the roof, for crying out loud, you know, so look at the state of things there. The fact is they can still attract someone like Bryan Mbeumo, who would have had plenty of suitors, shows you there's still a bit of pulling power there, and I think, again, a brilliant signing. It would be a great bit of business if they can do it, and I think Matheus Cunha was one of those ones where you thought they could get him, they've gone and got him, and I think he improves them as well. They kept Bruno Fernandes as well, which was crucial as well. So, yes, you give Manchester United credit for what they're doing, which is something we often don't do because of what's been going on.
This has been the Transfer Insiders. The show will be back on Monday on radio, YouTube, your smart TV, and the talkSPORT app from 7 o'clock. You can catch the podcast as well on Apple, Spotify, Acast, or wherever you get your podcasts. Marcus, it's been an absolute pleasure.
Do we have time for a little impression?
Go on then.
I said to the listeners that you can do an impression of a very famous / infamous man, one of the men that every single person in the world knows and is stunned by, appalled by, you know, whatever.
Well, we've got this guy Marcus Speller. He can't spell anything really. He can't spell as well as me. I can spell every word in the language really. Coming up next here on talkSPORT, Majestic, we get on very well. He's a great guy. Jermaine Pennant alongside me, never heard of him, not a great guy. This is talkSPORT, Sports Bar Weekenders up next. Have a great time, everyone.